in a game like this. You could have a team coming in winless and a team coming in unbeaten. And again, this is like a season within the season. But to your point, I think that it's kind of a crucial turning point for the Ravens particularly, but also for the GGs to maintain momentum. When you look at that schedule, GG's got a win here. They could be looking at going into Western with only one loss on their slate.
Yeah, exactly. And like we talked about, everything for the ranking is important. You want to have some kind of home field advantage. If you get into the playoff, you want to have some momentum. So today is a really important game because, if it goes one way, like you said, if Ottawa wins, then they're in good position to finish in the top 3. If Carleton wins, then they're going to be equal in the rankings, and Carleton will have the tiebreaker over Ottawa. So then it's all up in the air. So it's a really important game for both teams today.
Can't believe it. And we're just seconds away from Zachary Copeland looking to kick it off. He handles kickoffs for the GG. Puts this one nicely down to the numbers. That's going to be returned at about the 5-yard line. We're out to the 10, to the 15, to the 20. A little bit of a laneway. And going to be dragged down right around the 27. Folks, welcome to the 53rd edition of the Panda game.
GG's today wearing their third uniform, the all gray with the silver helmet. It's a style that I really, really enjoyed. I wish we had that in our times because it's my favorite uniform. So
there you go. They're bringing everything. It was Amon Bram on the return, bringing it out to about the 28 for the Ravens where they'll scrimmage. They find themselves on the left hash here. They got 3 receivers to the top of the screen, move 1 in the backfield, 2 to the top. DeYoung pulls it, swings it out to the right. That's out to the 30, and it's going to be brought down right around the 31-yard line. And again, we'll set the table for the Ravens in a moment here with what they're looking at, but where there's some names we're going to call a lot, and one of them we see right away, that's Kasim Ferdinand, probably one of the, I guess you could say one of the main pillars for this Carleton offense.
Yeah, well, Carleton have a bunch of great athletes on offense. They use them in different ways. It's a team that really like to run the ball a lot, so they run some of the plays off of that running game, so they're pretty good at doing it.
So Tanner DeYoung, the 5th-year man out of Brockville, getting the nod today for Carleton. DeYoung looks to the right again, fires, has his man. This is going to be close, but not close enough. They're looking at probably about a 3rd and 2 here as DeYoung slings it out there. And again, kind of begs the question, Seb. If you're going to run that type of route, do you not want to drive that to the sticks?
Exactly. You want to go as far as the stick goes. You want to get to the first down marker. There was a great coverage by Kevin Victom, though, so Kevin didn't give him any ground, so he had to come back a little bit shorter, and then the tackle by Victom was great. Make sure he didn't cross the first down line.
Well, it's a name that we called a lot in the past in the last home game, Seb, is Kevin Victom. Somebody watching, like you said, great job initially, keep everything as a bit of a lofty snap there. Kick off, and it's a nice one. Going to drive the receiver back to the return and over his head down to about the 15 to the 20, and going to be stopped. Nothing really doing there. Well, a massive Ravens brings down the returner, and I believe that was Charles Asselin, who, again, we're going to call his name a lot on the returns today.
Yeah, he had a great game 2 weeks ago, putting his team in great position. Carleton kicker here had a great punt on that one, and the coverage team was great, so give them a minimum return.
So we'll get our first look at the GG's offense this week. And like we said, Seb, they seem to be hitting their stride. And again, easy to do when you have a veteran quarterback like Ben Miracle in there.
Yeah, last week they had to win by 3 points by the leg of Fair on the last of the game. So we'll see today if it's can build on something.
Well, we see the G's come out in a look that we haven't really seen in the first 2 weeks. A bit of a tighter formation, nothing on the edges. But I mean, the results similar to what it is regardless of the formation. That's Simon Kinda barreling downfield for about 12. And Seb, I think we're going to call Simon Kinda's number a lot today.
We will, especially with that type of front that we see from the Ravens. Simon Kinda is a big part of the offense for the GGs. He had 25 carries last week for over 120 yards. So he's the heart and soul of that offense.
So Miracle here right in the middle of the field. He's got 2 receivers to each side of him. He's got motion coming out to the bottom of your screen. Miracle, bit of a high snap, going to give it to Simon Kinda. Simon Kinda bounces outside. Ravens do a good job on their pursuit, and Simon Kinda is going to bring that out to about the 40-yard line, and he's tackled by a host of Ravens, including but not limited to Joaquin Christian. And Seb, you had mentioned something right now, and I'll ask you about that. You had talked about the front that Carleton's using and why it would be conducive to, say, the Simon Kinda running. Would you want to elaborate on that a bit?
Sure. Well, they play kind of like a pivot three-man front, so they only have 3 down linemen. which with a few linebackers were more aggressive, playing downfield, but sometimes it allows creases to be open on the O-line. So I think that Ottawa will take advantage of that.
2nd and 5, and just what we were talking to here. And again, now, I mean, Kevin Victome on the defensive side did a good job, but you see the Ottawa U receiver here, they ran to the sticks, probably cleared it by a yard, and now they're resetting the table. So 1st down, nice shot by Miracle and the GGs right off the bat. It picked up about 25 yards of real estate. And again, as the team that's kind of the favorite here, I think that they could probably put Carleton early on their heels, if you will, because Carleton knows. I mean, obviously they're the underdog in this one.
Exactly. Well, we have a great corner on the other side too with Louis Laveau. He left a little bit more of room. So.
And again, we got Laundry on the field. We've got whistles that usually indicate some type of false start here on the offense, but we'll wait for the official decision by the refs today.
Seems like there was a lot of pressure from Carleton. They probably. Put Ottawa into kind of a stressful situation, and they jumped early.
So with that, that'll bring up, they'll tack on the 5 yards here. They'll back it up 5, and that'll bring up 1st and 15 from the GGs. They'll scrimmage from approximately their own 43. And again, we saw this in the Queens game, and we actually saw it with in terms of Guelph versus Ottawa, but in Guelph's case, how the penalties can hurt here. So right off the bat, in the Canadian game, you only get 3 downs. Making it 50% further is a big deal here. That's Miracle swinging it out here. We might have got a hold. They didn't grab it there, and the G's will pick up about 2, maybe a 3rd yard there. And again, quick swing by Miracle here. It looks like both teams are really looking to kind of get that horizontal game going quickly.
Yeah, they're trying to stretch the field horizontally. We've seen the same kind of play from Carleton earlier. The only difference here is that the receiver from Ottawa decided to go inside. The block was not great on the outside from the receiver, so he had to come inside, but the pursuit was there fast. That's one of the advantages of playing a 3 front, is that you have one more linebackers to flow around on top and go and make those plays.
So Miracle's got quads to the wide side, the bottom of your screen. Looking left but rolls right. Clearly the screen was set up. Rolling out, nothing doing. Great open field tackle, and that's the Ravens number 14. L. James Agamundo with this tackle on the play, and that was actually a really nice open field tackle, because if he doesn't make that tackle, Seb, I think he may, Simon Kinda may still be running.
Yeah, that was a great play from him. He great lateral speed, went around the O-line trying to block on the screen pass, and made a great ankle tackle on that one.
So with the Agamundo tackle, it brings up a 3rd and 13 for the G's, forced to punt. Decent hang time, going to drive the returner back to about his own 22. Dancing around a little, going to bounce outside out to the 30. We got a flag on the play, still on his feet. And again, that's kind of their does everything man. Kasim Ferdinand with that, but usually when you have Laundry there, Seb, it means it's going in the other direction.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's in the holding or blocking the back area for sure.
So we'll see what it is here. Perhaps we'll take a look as we wait for that. Now, Seb, any keys to this game in terms of what we talked about? But looking at the strengths and weaknesses of each team, did you see anything that's an actual key to the success? We'll talk of the GGs for starters.
Well, if you've seen some of the game for the GGs and the size and strength of the O-line of Carleton, you would think that they'll try to run the ball a lot, I think, today, because Ottawa is not necessarily built to stop the run that much up front, other than the linebacker Peters, which is like one of the all-stars. But the offensive line from Carleton are huge, big, and strong.
So Tanner DeYoung, 3 receivers to the short side of the field. That's the bottom of your screen. Going to give up the middle to Ferdinand. Ferdinand's going to bring that out to about the 25-yard line. And again, good north-south running. And check that. I said that was Ferdinand. That was actually St. Catherine's product and Sir Winston Churchill Bulldogs product. Josh Ferguson on the carry.
Ferguson is a do-it-all back too. He's really good running the ball north-south. He's physical, but he's also a great athlete. Can come out of the backfield, catch some balls, and do some stuff in the open space as well.
Well, Ferguson, ironically enough, was coached by Ottawa U alum and graduate linebacker Steve Cook, who was running that Sir Winston program down in St. Catharines. So that brings up 2nd and a short 2 here. And again, they're going to go up the middle. And again, Carleton doing what they need to do. With Ferguson and with Ferdinand, you've got electric runners, but they get the yards they need to get here. And so with that, Carleton, check that, advances the sticks, moves it to 1st and 10 now from their own 32.
Carleton uses a 2 backs package most of the time with a fullback, big guy here, Arnott Smith, who's also used as a tight end sometimes. He's an athletic guy who can block, he can block from the corner of the line, get out as a receiver as well. So it's going to be interesting to see.
So here we got balanced formation for the Ravens. The give. Bounced outside, nothing doing. Ottawa used D-line, comes up big there. And again, the GG's O-line, or D-line rather, kind of controlling that front seven right now in terms of the Ravens not getting a huge amount of push, Seb.
No, exactly. Like I talked about it earlier, Carleton's offensive line is pretty big, but I think Ottawa front is kind of being able to get some penetration with their skills and their athleticism, so it's a good battle to watch.
So that'll bring up a 2nd down and 9. Ravens scrimmaging from about their own 33, 34-yard line. DeYoung has 3 receivers to the wide side. Looks like the Ravens were offside, but they got away with one wide open. It's over the middle. Nice read by DeYoung down to the 45, to the 40, to the 35, to the 30. Finally dragged down. And a huge pickup for the Carleton Ravens as DeYoung hits Tristan Reddy. And right just like that, the Ravens are knocking on the GG's door.
Great pass by DeYoung on that one, and they're going to try to go fast now, so they're lining it up right away.
So again, DeYoung looking to get in a bit of a groove, has trips to the top of the screen. DeYoung going to give up the middle, that's Ferdinand, just goes right, north, south, and again, not a lot of room there, but credit to the Carleton running backs right now. They're just picking that, and again, I apologize. I said Ferdinand, that was Josh Ferguson going up the middle. Again, picks up 3 and makes it a manageable 2nd and 7 here, Seb.
Yeah. Carleton is going fast-paced right now.
So Carleton, again, electing to go no huddle, trying to draw the GGs off. DeYoung gets the looks back at the offensive sidelines to get some direction here, and he's going to call out the play. Carleton trips to the top of the screen. That's the wide side. DeYoung looking all the way to the left. He's got a man down the seam. Touchdown, Ravens!
That was Ferdinand. Great catch. Kevin Victom had a hard time trying to adjust on the ball. He went for the ball, tried to get the tip or the interception on that, but the ball was just high enough, floated perfectly in the hands of Ferdinand. Great pass by DeYoung.
Great read by DeYoung, like you said, and also a good job with DeYoung looking off the coverage there and coming to the seam. And just like that, like we said, doesn't matter how it starts, doesn't matter what the records are. Throw it out. The Ravens march down the length of the field on the strength of Tanner DeYoung's arm, and we're looking for the conversion here to make it a 7-0 game with 6:17 to go in the quarter. And Forcier's kick is up, and it's right through the middle. And with that, there's 6 minutes and 17 seconds to play here, Seb, and the Ravens jump out to an early 7-0 lead.
That was a great drive by Carleton. It was really methodical. We've seen a bunch of different things, some screen passes, or tried to stretch the defense laterally again with some swings. They ran the ball well with Ferdinand, and then tied it off with a great pass to Ferdinand again in the end zone.
Well, I mean, you can say this about almost any football game, Seb, but I think it's going to be particularly important when emotions are running high like a game like this, when there's so much on the line in terms of how you feel to this, is that the whole ability to keep penalties to a minimum, to keep the big loss, the negative plays to a minimum, it translates in every team. I'm not just saying it's specific to the Panda game, but obviously we saw it. Ottawa had a nice drive going, was marching. I won't say at will, but Simon Kinder was driving the ball. You take it a false start. Now instead of having 1st and 10, 1st and 15, stalls everything. Carleton on their drive, 2-3 yards, but continually moving it, never going back. And like you said, a couple quick reads by DeYoung. We're looking at 7-0.
Exactly, just like you said. I mean, the penalty puts the play caller on offense in a situation where the playbook has to be shortened, or you have to change the strategy that you have. Some of the offensive coordinator like to have kind of like a preset script for the first few drives in the game. Now, if you fall into a situation of 1st and 15, 1st and 20, then sometimes you have to get off of that script, and then you have to improvise a little bit. So obviously it changes stuff. So you have to keep the penalties to a minimum.
No, 100%, and I think we'll see it's going to play out in this one here, especially with two offenses that can move the ball. Forcey looking to kick off here, drives the ball deep. That's going to come down to about the Ottawa 10. Or fielded at the 10 to the 15. That's Aslan out to the 25, and Aslan's going to be dropped quickly. Looked like there was a bit of a hole there, but it closed really quickly by the Carleton Ravens.
Well, like you said, we both saw the highway from up here, and then to the last minute, one of the white jersey here just jumped in the hole, and it was a great tackle.
Well, we've seen it twice already, but with the Ravens, where the GGs were just maybe a shoelace tackle away from actually breaking something big here. So again, GGs coming out for their second or third possession right now. We'll see what they can do, or sorry, their second possession here. In their first possession, again, moved the ball with some degree of success till they got the penalties. So we've got Miracle. In the pistol formation, he's got 3 receivers to the wide side. He's got a single receiver to the boundary. Again, they give to Simonkinda. Simonkinda makes a move at the line. Nice move to get about 6-7 yards even, Simonkinda. And again, great running by JP here. You'll see one of the things you've talked about, Seb, is his ability to go north-south, but also his ability to cut back.
Exactly. Now we've seen a few outside zone from the GGs today so far. We're used to see them running a little bit more north side, like you said, with Simonkinda being able to jump outside or cut back. Now we're trying to stretch the defensive front a little bit more. So that's one of the things with the four-man fronts, three-man front. Sometimes if you can reach the first guy, then you have some space outside, or you can cut it back inside.
So with that, the GG's looking at a 2nd and 3. Maybe we had offside there. We did not get a whistle. Simonkinda's going to carry his man for the first down. Great job by JP. Initial contact on the line of scrimmage and carried that guy for about 3-4 yards to get the first set.
Yeah, we've talked about it before, earlier in some other games. One contact or one arm tackle won't bring him down, and we just had the proof here where he was touched in the backfield for a loss, and then he just carried the guy for a first down on the cutback too. So his feet weren't even moving when the guy touched him first, and then he carried him for 5 yards.
So we're seeing almost 2 different styles here where the GG's picking up the chunks of their yards on the ground, Ravens through the air. Let's see if that trend continues. Again, GG's in that tighter bunch type that we've seen earlier. They're going to run off the edge here on a jet type sweep, and that's not really going to go very far. And that's the first time we're calling Amilcar Polk's name today, and we saw it last time against Guelph. He came in, not a name we called a lot. By the end of that day, everybody knew who he was.
Exactly. He's more of the lightning to the thunder of Simonkinda kind of thing. And we've seen that 2 times or 3 times today where they bring that kind of like a bunch formation. Everybody's kind of like more tied up in the middle, and they have both running backs on the field actually. So Simonkinda is still there, and they bring Polk, and they just give him the ball there on a kind of like a little sweep or reverse type of play.
Well, Polk, a plus 200 guy, is the guy you want bang between tackles. Miracle looking deep. He's going to let that run rip. We've got a lot of contact.
Well, there's a flag on that, no? Is it not?
And the funny thing is, Seb, I don't know if we'll see it on the replay. You see the ref go to reach for the flag back there. I'm thinking, Seb, that they just said, you know what, the contact was coincidental. Both were engaged, but you tell me what you're seeing.
Well, I mean, if you ask my opinion, it's pretty clear there has to be a flag, but the ball was a little bit underthrown, so it's hard to see because, well, both guys have to fight for the ball, but obviously, the DB from Carleton was all over the receiver.
You get no argument from me, and those are usually the ones where you get the most pass interference. So the kicks off, drives it back to about the 25. We feel a little bit of a lane here if they can keep getting outside. That's Ferdinand looking to get outside, but he's not going to outrun the GG coverage. Brought down at about the 32. So Ferdinand goes about 45 yards to get 2 as that GG pursuit is relentless.
I'm wondering, in games like that when emotion runs high, sometimes the referee will tend to give more penalties to try to control the game. But if you let things like that go early in the game, I wonder what's going to go on, later in the game. Because you have to, as a referee, you have to keep control of the game in those situations. Both teams they hate each other right now. It's the biggest game in OUA, you said, and it's the biggest game in college football probably during the year. So if they let things go like that, maybe it can get ugly.
Well, we'll keep an eye on that. And again, it looked like a flag was going to be tossed, but neither here nor there as the Ravens scrimmage from their own 33, 1st and 10, going up the middle again, trying to establish the ground game. And again, whoa, here we go to your point, Seb, and we just saw, and again, maybe they want to watch it. It was number 91 on the GGs, and that was Michael Pizzuto just taking a shot at one of the Ravens players. And again, where you talk about emotion, so we'll watch this, Seb, because just on cue, you talking about it. And take a look here, Seb. We just faded out. Great job. Our guys almost picked that up. It was a great job by our camera crew picking that up. So that brings up 2nd down, and we'll call it about 6, long 6 for DeYoung and the Ravens. We got 3 receivers to the boundary side. Again, going to drive it up the middle with Ferguson. Ferguson's going to be close, but again, close counts in grenades and horseshoes. Looks like he'll be a little bit short of this one, maybe about a yard and a half short, bringing up 3rd down. Seb, do you go for it this early, this close?
Well, they seem to be arguing about it, but they obviously going to send the punt team right now. It's hard to tell. They're short field. They have the advantage right now. They're leading the way. They're running the ball better. Their defense is doing great. So, I mean, it's understandable that they just want to punt here early in the game and try to see if they can pin the GGs back in their territory.
So on that note, Carleton on a 3rd and 1.5 from their own side of the 5 chooses to punt.
It's great punting.
Nice punt, dropped right in the corner. Astley's going to run that one down at about the 25. Astley trying to get outside, and he's just going to be corralled by a whole gang, and no better way to describe that than a gang of Ravens. And again, including but not limited to number 40, Malik Yusuf, in on the tackle. And again, it all starts with the punt placement. You saw the punter put it right, he got it on the proper side of the numbers, for lack of a better term, and you've just got the returner kind of, locked in. He's boxed in.
Exactly. When you're able to get the punt on the numbers like this, you kind of cut the field in half, so you have your whole team, or pretty much your whole coverage team, being able to converge to one spot and keep that returner and use the sideline as your friends too. If you punt in the middle of the field, then you have the whole field to cover, so it's a little harder. So great punt by Plouffe on that one.
So we'll see what the G's do on their 3rd position. Miracle got 2 receivers to each side. He's got a pistol formation in the backfield. Miracle play action, drives over the middle. They obviously saw something going deep. He's got his man open down to the 30, 25, 20. He's going to walk in. Touchdown, University of Ottawa. And again, he was the hero last week, and he's starting off this week with a blast. That's number 80, Nicolas Gendron, with the receptions. Clearly, Seb, the G's are seeing something here. That's 2 in a row where they're trying to go deep, and Gendron was open.
Exactly. Gendron had his men beat, came inside, tried to get to the seam. He had his guy beat. The pass was perfect, right on top. Now he caught that ball in his stride, and he averted the first tackler, and he was just walking the park after that to get the end zone. Great job by both Gendron and Miracle for the pass.
And again, nice ball by Miracle, even nicer reception, if you will, and walking in the end zone is Gendron. And with Fair's boot, there's no questions asked whatsoever as he drives that through the uprights, and that brings us to a tie game with 1:21. And Seb, again, 7-7, early game. You're not going to judge a game on a quarter, but if you're Carleton, are you a little bit, especially on the defensive side, are you a little bit nervous? Because, I mean, when you look at I would be curious to see the yards per carry that Simonkinda's looking at right now. And then you've really got a couple of plays where if Miracle probably reads the previous play a little earlier and throws it, I mean, that would a heck of a long throw. But maybe if he reads it a touch earlier, throws it in the same spot earlier, maybe the G's have another long play because it looked like they had an open man there as well. And clearly Gendron just ran through the defense. Are you a little concerned if you're Carleton at this point?
Well, you're right. The GGs have been really good so far at trying to exploit the weaknesses of Carleton, and we've just seen on that pass there was not like nobody in the middle other than the DB that was trying to cover Gendron. They're trying to bring more guys down in the box to stop Simonkinda, and then on the first play of the drive, they just take opportunity on that pass. So obviously they're going to have to do some adjustment.
So Copeland's kick a little short here. Well placed, but a little short, and the Ravens are going to find themselves on the 35-yard line to start this possession. And again, although it's 7-7, just the way they scored, we'll see what happens. But you got this feel that this is kind of an answer drive for the Ravens right now, where they don't necessarily need points, Seb, but you want to answer back with something. You don't want to get that defense back on the field quite yet.
No, you're right, especially after the way that last play went. Carleton's driving the field properly in the last few drives, so they need to establish a good drive here.
So DeYoung has two receivers at the top. He's going to give up the middle, and we got some room in the fullback, 40, 45, out to the 50. And a very almost caught the GGs, I guess you could say, for lack of a better term, caught them off guard there as they give that to Aiden or not Smith. That's, I don't want to say little use fullback on the carries, but definitely the G's offense caught him off guard there. And, the definition of rumbling for about 15 yards there.
Yeah, I talked about him a little earlier. They used him in a different situation, and now they just give him the ball and the carry. So he's been doing a good job.
Ravens content to keep it on the ground, and why not if you're getting 5-6 yards a plus. And that looks like Ferguson with the carry. And again, Ferguson looks like he's got us another 6, maybe 7 yards. So again, Ravens in a good spot here as that'll bring up about we'll call it 2nd and 4 here, Seb.
I like the way Carleton's just doing no huddles. They're trying to keep the defense guessing.
DeYoung drops back, looking over the middle, and that's going to be a little short of the target. We'll see if they give him the catch, and they're calling it incomplete, and rightfully so. I don't think he corralled that, and it's a shame. It looked like DeYoung didn't quite get his foot, kind of the drive off his base foot there and drive that ball in, because he did have the man open, and he did make a nice read. It just looked like he was a little off balance, throwing off his back foot.
You're right. The ball was a little underthrown, but just like you said, he threw from his back foot. Receiver was open. The ball placement was great, but just a little short.
So with that, then, fortunately for Carleton, they were moving the ball nicely there, and that would have put them right back in position to actually be knocking on the GG's doorstep. And instead, they're going to end up flipping the field here, if you will, or ending the quarter, and Carleton will be looking to punt to start the second quarter. A play here at TD Play Stadium.
They're going to have a little wind in their back there for that punt, so we'll see if that's going to influence at all. We'll see. We've seen Plouffe so far, the Carleton Ravens punter, who has a great leg today. His first 2 punts were really good. Now with the wind, we'll see what he can do.
In terms of both teams' special teams, actually have been pretty impressive in terms of the kicking, just from the kicker's point of view, but also the coverage teams. There hasn't been a lot, and we saw it like the one time we were talking about, the little alleys that we do see, and I mean, they're obviously very easy to see from our vantage point, but they do close quickly. And I mean, it's probably a good segue to when we're talking about special teams and kicking games to kind of bring up the performance of Campbell Fair last week. How about that? 55 yards on the last play of the game to win the game. I mean, 55 in the NFL would be the lead-in story on Sports Desk. 55 in university, something special. So, I mean, one heck of a performance by Campbell Fair. And, again, we've seen it all season with that leg, Seb.
You're right. He's been one of the best offensive weapons for the GGs. Put his team ahead a few times, and where it was able to, score good points at key moments all season long. So, yes, against Carleton last week, he was the hero of the game. And that was a great way to close the game and give the win to the GGs.
It definitely makes a huge difference. There's no getting out of that in terms of that having that extra leg, knowing that, and I mean, clearly, and you watch that kick, it would have been good from longer than 55. I mean, now you've all of a sudden got this, and again, on the Canadian field with the uprights being at the front of anywhere from
the middle of the field.
Yeah. Like you basically, it's the whole connect the dots thing, where once you get on your right side of the 55, you can start thinking points, which is a great weapon to have. And sorry, Seb.
No, as a coach, to have a kicker like that, your game plan, the way you think can change and be really effective, because you can have confidence in your kicker.
Yeah, and we'll see where they marked that. Probably went out a little sooner. It was a well-placed ball, just left earlier than they wanted it to. And again, the GG's here, going to scrimmage from about their own 27-yard line. And again, nice punt. Probably wanted to get that just a little more inside, because it looked like it had the leg to drive him back to the 10. So we're seeing, again, great legs by both teams' kickers in both the punting and the kicking game.
Going to be interesting to see what kind of strategy Ottawa goes with right now. They're going to try to hit that long pass again, or going to try to just grind the field.
Well, right now it seems to all be working for the GG's offense. So, I mean, the good points that we'll see what they do. Miracle here electing the GG's, coming out with 4 receivers to the wide side, the bottom of your screen. Miracle going to give to Simon Kinda. Simon Kinda gets out to the 30. He's going to get dragged down, and he's going to bring the ball to about the 32-yard line, and that'll bring up 2nd and 5 for the University of Ottawa.
To what you were saying earlier, Simon Kinda pretty good at finding that cutback lane, behind that big offensive tackle on the left. He's pushing the front side run and is hitting back in the cutback.
And again, like you talked about, when the coaches have their play call sheets or have ideas or situations, this is where, if you're an offensive play caller, you love being in this situation. 2nd and 5, your entire playbook's at your disposal. Miracle, he has 2 receivers to the top of the screen, 2 receivers at the bottom in pistol formation. Ravens sending 4. Miracle fires it out to the side. Going to be just a little short of the first down, but Jondro's going to fight, and he's going to pick up the necessary yard. So again, good job by Jondro. Caught it about a yard shy of the first down, but again, broke tackles and probably broke it about a yard past the first down marker.
That was a great escape from the first tackle here. He ducked right after he cut the ball, and he knew where the first down marker was.
We talked about Carleton earlier, how the receiver didn't go to the first down marker. That was the case here, but Gendron had an idea where the first down marker was, and he just docked and get that first down for the GGs.
No, and a great point you brought up there is he wasn't dancing as much, just avoid that first tackle like he had to, then get upfield. Great job by Gendron. Trips receivers to the wide side. Miracle looking purely to his left. Again, he seems to have got his safety blanket or favored target today, and Gendron, that's Gendron's third straight reception, albeit a short one here. That'll pick up about 3, maybe 4 for the GGs, bringing up a 2nd down and 6 as the GGs keep moving. Well, you got a generous spot there. We'll call it 2nd down and about 5 here, Seb.
We've seen how Simakinda, hit some cutback lane earlier in the game, and just the previous run before. Now the defensive ends and outside linebackers for the Carleton Ravens started to be a little more aggressive inside, so that leaves Miracle to have a lot of space after the play action on the outside and be able to have the full field, because the defensive end are really aggressive on Simakinda right now.
It definitely opens up a lot here. Miracle given to Simakinda. Simakinda going to hammer it. Fumble. The ball comes out, and it looks like it's got to be the Ravens' ball here, Seb. I didn't see anything but white jerseys, and yes, sir. And that was one of the things with Simakinda last year. They had a little bit of a problem, and you'll see this. I believe the helmet comes and just pops that out, Seb.
Yeah, I saw that too. I think that was the safety or the outside linebacker who came back a little late and put his head or his shoulder right on the ball. Yeah, there you go.
Right there.
That's the number 2 there, Talig Enuhaman.
And a great job. And Seb, we alluded to this. You got the penalty that slowed down the drive, the turnover. Otherwise, they're getting 6-7 yards completing the ball. Again, we'll see how this develops. Right away, Carleton on the right side of the field they want to be on. Trips receivers to the boundary. They give up to Ferguson. Ferguson's going to slash between tackles and bring that one down to about the 41-yard line. Gain of about 4 yards by Josh Ferguson.
Like you talked about, that the type of game like that with a lot of emotion going on and the size of the importance of that game, you have to limit the penalties. You have to limit the mistakes, and this is a big one.
And with that brings up a 2nd and 5 after Ferguson's 5-yard carry. DeYoung trips receivers to the bottom of the screen, single back. DeYoung calling out the signals. He's going to give Bobbles the snap here, or Bobbles the handoff rather. And again, that looked like a bit of an RPO, or they didn't have the great handle and wasn't sure what they were, if they were giving or pulling. And the end result was a bobbled ball.
Seems like either the coordination or the decision was not made fast enough, and like you said, it created a hard situation for the Ravens.
So no hesitations when the Ravens whatsoever, as they're going to send in, or it appears they're sending in their field goal unit here, or I should say the kicking team. I don't want to say field goal unit.
It's actually the punter.
It is the punt. I just saw the punter coming out there. So I mean, I guess we're kind of spoiled by watching Ottawa U with Campbell Fair. And we're looking at a 47-yarder. But Carleton content to play the field position game here. They're going to line up. And, again, they can really kind of put the GGs in a bad spot here with a well-placed kick. Kick is off, and it's dropped in the corner. We'll see where – beautifully just drops down nicely. And they're going to get the no yards. But you know what, Seb? If I'm the special teams coordinator, Coach Nelson, I'm going to take the 5-yard penalty. I mean, yeah, I'd love to have him at the 4, but they're going to give him 5, and you're getting at the 9.
Exactly. The punt was great. Obviously, the coverage here, it started to kind of like run really fast, and then you see the ball falling down just short of the end zone. It's hard to adjust on that, and we've seen the Carleton players try to get back, but the ball kind of bounced back towards him, so it's kind of hard to adjust on that. But just like you said, even with the penalty here, it's a great field position, and in favor of Carleton.
I always tell players, I mean, it's the ref's discretion, so you can't make it look blatantly obvious that you're disregarding the rules. But generally speaking, if it bounces, it's their discretion. So if you make it look like you're trying to avoid it, they're only going to give you 5, and so why not stay in that little area and make sure you make the tackle? And the GGs doing what the GGs do and coming right back. Any questions about whether Simakinda might have any, be a little gun-shy carrying the ball, or Coach Belfoy calling his number after the fumble? Those questions answered right away as Simakinda rips that one off for about 14 yards.
How he comes back and runs really hard. He's holding the ball with 2 hands now. He's make sure that he's not going to make the same mistakes, but he's a competitor. He knows that he just made a mistake the previous drive, so he's going to come harder now.
No, and with that, we have an injured Carleton Raven on the field right now, so there's a little bit of a pause in action. And again, we saw it, and we saw with Simonkinda, and that's one of the things that, you know, I think young backs can take a lot away from. You had the fumble, and again, it's probably two of the most common fumbles you're going to get is either that blind side strip where somebody's either punching that out, you don't see it, or they're coming from behind, which again is hard to defend. Like, I mean, you have all the technique, high and tight and all that stuff, but at the reality, if you're running full speed and you don't see a person coming. And the second one, again, is that helmet popping in there. And again, you can have the perfect technique, just once in a while, if that helmet hits that ball, it's dislodged. And the one thing that the takeaway from this, Seb, is that you saw right after that, Simonkinda's got the two hands on the ball, and he's aware of it. I mean, you can either kind of, you know, not learn from your mistakes or come back in, and clearly a learning point for Simonkinda.
Exactly. Don't make one little mistake become two or three. You know, like when you mentally as well. You know, some players, when they make a mistake, they're gonna carry it over for a while. Obviously, it's not the case here for Simonkinda.
And that was number 36, the reserve linebacker, Alexandre Laberge-Chung, that's coming off for the Ravens right now. But he seems to be jogging off with very little signs that he went down. So I think that we'll see him back in the game at some point soon. So back to the action right now. Miracle and the GG scrimmaging from their 24-yard line. Miracle and gun, one back to his left. Miracle, again, going to give to Simonkinda. Nice cutback by Simonkinda. And again, he's going to get, and it just seems like they're getting consistently 6-7 yards on these, Seb, and could be a problem for the Ravens going forward.
Yeah, you're right. And I see the front for Carleton, and they're trying to, you know, bring some linebackers out of the three-man front, or trying to loop and stun inside to try to, you know, cover and cut those running lanes. But Simonkinda is really good at just being patient and cutting back on one side or the other to try to, you know, hit the hole that the stunter came from. So good job by Simonkinda.
Miracle play action. Who else but Gendron? Gendron, look out. He's down to the 50, the 55, 50, 45, 40. He makes a move down to the 35, 30. Finally forced out of bounds, or tackled, for lack of a better term, by Joaquin Christian. And who is Nicolas Gendron today, folks? 4 straight reception on the 4 straight ball. And I'm telling you, if there's a man of the hour right here at TD Place, it's number 80, Nicolas Gendron. What a whale of a game this young man is playing.
He's having a really great game. He's showing his hands, showing his speed down the field on the catch, and now he just accelerates out of that route after he caught the ball and just outrun a bunch of people from the Ravens. So we've seen him catching deep balls on the seam. We've seen him catching slants and hooks. We've seen him on different type of plays, you know, the triple option where he just cut little balls on hooks. He's doing it all today.
No, he is the Gatineau product, and I mean, I'm not quite sure where he learned these moves and that breaking that, because quite frankly, I know the Sejep over there, they don't throw the ball like this. Full disclosure for anybody that's not familiar, just so you know, we're not taking shots at their fellow Sage. Seb Tetra, my colleague here, was the head coach of the Griffon, and actually he probably did coach Nicolas Gendron for a few years.
For his entire career in the Sejep for 3 years, yeah.
So again, I would think that anything that you're seeing right now, Seb, out of Nicolas is not coming as a great shock, or maybe it is. Maybe
it actually is not. He was one of our main targets when he played with us for all his years, actually. So I've seen a lot of that from him at the CJEP level. Now we've seen it at the university level. So he improved a lot since then, but he was still really good a few years ago, you know, when he played for the Griffins.
Well, you know the old adage, you can't coach speed, and I mean clearly Nicolas has that in some degree of abundance. So
he does.
I mean, again, so far, Seb, sum up the first quarter and a half of football offensively for the GGs. I got 2 names for you: JP Simonkinda, Nicolas Gendron. And you know what? I got 3 names, because somebody's got to get the ball to Gendron.
Miracle, exactly.
And he's making the reads. I mean, obviously, an RPO-based offense, it's not just as simple as giving the ball. Again, we're not talking rocket science reads. But on the other hand, I mean, he's doing a great job of leading this offense, getting the ball in the place for his receivers with the yak zone throws, and the GG's on the roll once again. Miracle. He's going to roll to his right here, looking. He's going to flush. Got a man open deep, and it's just going to be a little bit. Let's see if he's got it incomplete outside. And it's showing you some of the confidence Miracle has right now. as he had a wide open man just kind of in the second level, but wanted to go deep one more time, and guess who was his target there?
Gendron again, and we've seen that play 2 weeks ago against Guelph where we had the little, like the play action kind of thing where he tries to roll outside, and especially with the running game with Simakinda, it opens the outside for the quarterback, throwing the corner on the right side of the field this time. Remember 2 weeks ago, they tried it 3 times on the left side of the field, so it definitely Gendron, and that type of play is wide open again today.
Oh, no, definitely wasn't a poor read. And, again, it's just a matter of it becomes exponentially more difficult as you're rolling out, throwing on the run, all this sort of stuff. Brings up 2nd and 10. Miracle QB draw. He's got a lane opened up. Miracle showing that he can run, drives it down to about the 10-yard line. And, you got to give credit to the play calling of Coach Belfoy. We've seen this now in successive weeks. He seems, or actually, I say Coach Belfoy, and that's disrespecting Coach Nathan Taylor.
Yeah.
And so Coach Taylor, obviously he's seen that opportunity, seen that window the last couple of weeks, because it seems when they run that with Miracle, timing is perfect, Seb.
Exactly, it is. And they're waiting just at the right moment to do it. We've seen it 2 weeks ago a few times. We've seen it last week as well. So he's doing a good job of putting his player in a great situation.
No, 100%. So, again, GG's on the roll here, 1st and goal from the 10. Give to Simakinda. He's going to get wrapped up in the backfield. Nice open field tackle.
It was a great corner blitz from Laveau on that one. Great timing.
Louis Laveau in on the tackle there, Seb. And like you said, and again, I think we'll show the replay. I don't know if we got a full field here, but he may be gone if he doesn't make that tackle.
You're right. And it's not easy for a corner to come in and tackle Simakinda. It was a big bag there, but that was a great tackle from him.
No, Simakinda coming in at about 235 pounds. Again, we'll call it, not a small back, we'll say. So with that brings up 2nd and goal for the GGs. Miracle in the pistol, as always. Simakinda to his right to the boundary. Miracle looking to his right, fires, looking the whole way over there. Oh, and right there was just one of the things you got to watch if you're Ben, because from up here he was locked on the right, and the Ravens do a great job in kind of reacting to that.
Oh, you're right. That pass was we were able to see it from here from the get-go. I mean, it was telegraphed right from the beginning, and great job by the DB here, Joachim Christian, who just came right in front of that ball, almost picked it off.
No, definitely a good read. And again, I think we got to, not that that's a habit that we've seen from Miracle, but we do have to watch for it a bit, as like I said, he was locked to the right there and the Ravens reacted accordingly. So with that, it'll bring up we'll call it a relative chip shot for Fair from 21 yards on the right hash. Ball is down, kick is up. And Fair puts that somewhere onto Bank Street as the GGs jump out here. 10-7. With about 6:30 to go in the half. And Seb, you got about 6 minutes to go. Observation so far.
I think it's a great game so far. Both teams are able to move the ball well. They're running the ball aggressively. Obviously, right now, the passing game from the GG is a little better. Miracle is able to move around as much as he wants, try to get the ball out fast to his receivers with some quick passing, with some RPOs, triple options and stuff. And Simakinda is doing what he does. He run powerfully, get some first downs. I mean, they're only 10 points from the GGs up on the board, but the way they drive the ball, it's impressive. We had that fumble earlier that kind of stopped them in their drive, but if they keep doing what they're doing right now, I think they're in possession of the game.
So there we go. Many of the side attractions here at the 2022 Panda game. And again, just going over a little bit of the history here, Panda. Ottawa leads the series 35 wins to 17 wins. So, I mean, a little bit, we'll call it, I don't want to say lopsided, but it definitely isn't neck and neck at this point. I mean, the last few ones, and again, when we're looking at it, since the return of Carleton football, I mean, we've seen some pretty exciting ones, obviously going back to the 2014, which was really kind of the kickoff or the rebirth. Because to be fair, 2013 Panda, Carleton's first year back. Game was held at Ottawa U. Ottawa was established. I don't even chalk that up. I mean, I give credit to that team for winning it, but when it really got competitive was the next year. The Nate Bahar touchdown, Hail Mary. And you look at some of these scores. I mean, you want to talk about a football game, 2014, 33-31 Carleton. 2015, 48-45 Carleton. We can go up. But anyways, we'll talk about that in a minute. Oakland's kickoff drives back to the 10 to the 15, out to the 20, and there's going to be a hold. This one's coming back, and you can see it clear. We got 2 flags on the play here, but I mean, very rarely do you see clear holds on a kick return, and I'm pretty sure they're going to get somebody here on that because it looked like Carleton's player was doing a, what do they call it, a do-si-do with one of the GG's coverage men.
It was more wrestling than football.
100%. So with that, we await the confirmation here. We see the return, and you just right there, you can see it. I think it was number 21 was the victim of the hold there. That's Jackson Brashear. We didn't quite catch the number there, but again, Jackson, hands were outside the shoulder pads. Everything they tell you not to do to get caught, he was doing. So with that, that'll back it up 10 yards. And again, 10-7 here with about 6:22 in the game. But again, and I said it before, and I don't want to kind of be, sky is falling every time, but you get the sense here the Ravens got to respond like last time. Get some first downs, get some movement. Give the ball back to the GGs with that weapon, Campbell Fair. It's not something that you want to do down here. So DeYoung going to start off from his own 10-yard line. DeYoung going to give up the middle, drives it down to about the 15, and we've seen this now a few. And Carleton, again, doing a pretty good job of getting the ball and going tackle in between tackle to tackle. And we get a chance, our first chance to get a look at number 26, Matt Morin. And again, Carleton looks to have some pretty good depth in terms of their running backs.
Yeah, you're right, and they always had, they've been a run-based offense for many years, and I remember, across the year for forever, as far as I can remember, they're running the ball really well, and they always have good depth.
So on that brings up a 2nd and 5 for Carleton. DeYoung takes a shot, and he's looking up to the right, fires over the middle, has his man, but overshoots him. And that pass was intended to number 82, Nick Renault. And he did have a step on his defender, but unfortunately, DeYoung just couldn't deliver right where it needed to be.
Yeah, the ball was thrown a little too high as Renault was trying to cut across the field, and DeYoung threw the ball kind of if it was a seam, but Renault was coming across the field, so the ball was way too high for him.
So with that, Seb, do you give up the safety here?
Well, especially with the time left, I think we should do, but that's not what they're doing.
And they're going to kick it out. Confidence in the punter's leg, and you know what? They might get away up, and they actually get a GG's bounce. Astley going to pick it up at the 40, brings it to about the 43. They're going to get another no yard here. Interesting dilemma, because, I mean, once you get to this level, you do have kickers that have, professional legs. And to your point, that's the one thing that makes you nervous is, A, do you want to give up the points? But B, the other flip side of that is right now, and that was a great punt. That's probably the best punt you can ask for out of that. But right now, you're probably about legitimately a 1st down and a half. Well, with that penalty, you're 1 first down from Fair's range.
Exactly. So if you want to end on a positive note at halftime, you probably want to gain more field than that. So yeah, that's a cultural and that's a strategy decision to make. If you have the chance to have a kicker like a punter like Plouffe who can get the ball really deep, that's fine. But you're 1 short punt away to be in a bad situation.
Big time. So Miracle starting off from his own 48-yard line is going to give in the GG's, keeping on doing what they're doing. And that's going to be Polk with the carry up the middle, and Polk picks up about 4 yards there. And again, good situation for the GG's, 2nd and 6. And so far they've been able to do what they want in terms of the run game or the pass game.
And we've seen, like I said earlier, the GG's today seems to have kind of like a game plan trying to stretch the field a little bit more horizontally than vertically on the run plays. They're stretching the field. They're trying to go outside zone with both their running backs more than what we've seen in the past weeks.
So what that brings up, 2nd down, and we'll call it a long 6. Miracle looking all the way to his left, fires over the middle to Gendreau. Jump ball, we'll see who comes up with it. Are they calling it? It looked to be caught by somebody. And what are they saying here? Are they calling it Carleton's ball, Ottawa ball?
They're calling it a catch from Gendreau.
So they're calling it a reception by Gendreau. And again, tie goes to the receiver, so I do think it's the right call here. But again, Miracle lucky to get that. You know what? got to be good to be lucky, and he put that in a nice spot. Gendron having the game of his life so far.
You know what's funny? You were talking about the Griffins really with Gendron and number 36, Laberge Zhang, who's the starting middle linebacker. They're both from the Griffins, and they fought for the ball on that play.
Well, there you go, 2 ex-teammates as Polk carries the ball down to about the 40-yard line. And again, like you said, good kick or not good kick, this is the danger of the decision by not giving up the safety. And again, you don't give up the 2, but at what cost is the GGs? And again, like you said, with the time left in the half, it's 3 minutes to go, you push them back. So again, maybe this is something they're going to be questioning later down the road.
Exactly. If they end up being able to stop them only for a field goal, that's only 1 point difference. But with the shorter field, you're probably talking about the 25 to 30-yard difference. That's a few first down that you have to go get for the GGs that you don't have now.
100%. Miracle's got his man wide open, and that's going to be completed for a first down. And again, Ottawa U looking to do what they want to do, however they want to do it, as that's the first time we've called Dimbongi's name. Well, heck, that's the first time we've called any receiver's name other than Gendron. But Dimbongi with the first down reception, and the GGs are rolling. And with that, we have an injured Carleton player on the sidelines here. And so we got a bit of a brief break in the action. We got actually 2 Ravens down. Seb, right now, what are you seeing with the talking about the 2 teams here? What are you seeing in the first half?
Well, like I talked earlier, I think that the GGs are moving the ball at will right now. The only thing that stopped them is themselves with what you talked about earlier. One penalty that kind of like put them in a bad situation, and the fumble. But other than that, they've been able to drive the ball. They've been able to throw the ball properly, and it's hard for Carleton right now to stop them on any level, And now we've seen it's Laveau coming off the field, one of their best player on defense. One of the guys that had a tackle for loss earlier in the game on Simikinda that stopped one of the drives. So it's a hard situation for Carleton right now, and they're going to have to adjust some things for the end of the half here, but especially the second half if they want to get back in that game and be able to compete.
No, and like you said, Seb, that's one of the things we just very tight game, 10-7, 3-point game at the half. But I mean, how we got here is kind of the story behind it, and really it's kind of a tale of 2 offenses. So back to live action here. Miracle's got trips to the wide side. Happy to give it up in the middle to Polk. Polk grinding right through the tackles. And again, every time we got a GG back, just going straight downhill. Looks like they're picking up a solid 6, 7, 8 yards. Great job by this GG's O-line right now creating the holes, and an equally impressive job by the backs following said holes.
Yeah, you're right, especially with what we've seen so far with the Carleton front. We talked about it at the beginning of the game, playing a 3-man front against an offensive lineman and a coordinator who likes to run the ball with 2 powerful, fast, and smart running back there. It's a hard task, So, yes, they have good linebackers. They're shooting the holes and everything, but when you play a 3-man front like this and you play against a team that likes to run the ball powerfully, it's hard to stop.
Well, with the offside penalty, the G, Sebs, this is what we talked about. Rolling, and now all of a sudden 1st and 15. Can they overcome this? Miracle in the shotgun. Going to give it to Simikinda. Simikinda dropped in the backfield. Excellent, beautiful tackle. And again, that's Malik Yusuf. And say what you want about this defense, the one thing is they can tackle.
Exactly, they can tackle. They're tackling low. They're able to make great pursuit too. They're athletic. And that's one of the things, too. If you play that kind of front, yes, it's hard to stop, the downhill plays. But sometimes when you get good penetration, you can have big tackle for loss. So it goes both ways.
So what we're looking at here is now a 2nd and about 18. And Seb, we talked about it. Sorry, we're going to 2nd and 19, maybe even 20. And we talked about it. After Polk's carry, it was 2nd and 2. Miracle drop straight back, wide open over the middle. That's going to be complete drive down. We're going down to the 10. And he's going to be dragged down finally. He's still on his feet. And like I said there, I had that kind of hesitation in my voice. Was he going to get to the outside? But Dimbongi, again, probably his ears burning, was saying that we haven't called his name. And he wants in on the Nicolas Gendron show this afternoon. And Dimbongi wide open over the middle. And again, super understated here, Seb, but this O-line is doing a heck of a job both in pass pro and in the run game.
They do, and we see Miracles being super comfortable in his pocket, being able to look up receiver, look up DB, and make great decisions. And we've seen on that play too, the buggy speed, coming across the field, being able to outrun a few defender.
Oh, now the G's on the doorstep. Give to Simon Kinda. Simon Kimba fighting, but he's going to be brought down finally. And that's number 96. That's Sandor Maude on the tackle. And again, to your point, Seb, it's both sides are working. It starts with the O-line. We're talking the run and the pass, and it starts with those front five, and they're doing one heck of a job today.
Yeah, they do. And when Carleton's able to get some penetration, their little crease, they're really good tacklers, just like you mentioned on the previous play. And when they put the hand on the running back, that guy's not going anywhere.
So that'll bring up a 2nd down and goal. The GGs are coming up from about the 9-yard line. They've got trips to the wide side, single back coming out of the backfield, swings it out to Simon Kinda. He's got one man to beat. He won't be able to do it, and that'll bring up a 3rd down for the GGs. Well snuffed out by Carleton. They read that as soon as they saw Simon Kinda coming out of the backfield.
Great job and kudos to the Carleton's defense. We talked about it. They made a decision not to give the 2 points, and then they stopped them before the end zone. So Ottawa has to come out with their field goal team, and maybe that's only going to be a 1-point difference. Good job on Carleton defense.
And it shows us our thoughts about Campbell Fair, because quite frankly, we're conceding that he's going to make it. And in either case, it may be a 1-point difference going for Carleton's favor.
Exactly. You're right.
Because the one thing, unless this is blocked, we know it's going on to Bank Street. It ain't being returned. So Fair, bad angle field goal, ball's bobbled, and that is blocked. Talk about jinxing, they're setting the table. So right there, and you saw it from the get-go, though, that snap was bobbled. They came in, screwed up the timing. And like I said, I should have said unless $1 million drops on our table, Seb, because, I kind of prefer that to the block. Although the block was kind of cool as well.
Exactly. It's Sandor Maude, again, who just made the tackle for loss the previous play. And he came in through that line, was able to slid in between 2 blockers and put his hand up, block that kick. Great play by Maude.
No, great job. And again, the Ravens dodging a bullet here, keeping it a 3-point score. 56 seconds to go here. Not out of the woods yet, but again, a lot better than it was 2 downs ago for the Ravens. The Ravens bringing in a double tight formation here with 3 receivers to the wide side. DeYoung coming out to pass right away. He's got a bit of room out here. He's going to fire that one. It's going to be completed, and they're going to pick up about 2-3 yards on that.
It's Arnott Smith, that fullback guy who's lining up at the tight end position on the right. He was the lone receiver on the right side, closing that line, and he blocked at the start of the play, came out on a quick out. And he was the safety blanket for DeYoung on that one.
And good job of DeYoung not panicking, just getting out of there when he had the pressure applied to him by Pizzuto on the edge. DeYoung looking to his left, fires to his left. Ball's a little low but caught. Great open field tackle. And again, that's the Ravens are going to be forced to punt here based on that tackle by, and we've seen it before, Pascal Menard on the tackle. And you know the type of player Pascal is. Again, I've had the privilege of knowing him for a few years. And he's just going to make those tackles every time.
Exactly. Another guy that played for the Griffins for 2 years, so I know him well as well. Coached him for a few years, and he always been, a big, hard player, running around the field, being super athletic, and he always had a good nose for the football. So.
No, and again, one of those things. We've been giving Carleton a lot of credit. I think if Pascal doesn't make that tackle, the Carleton's able to run out the clock here and, probably picks up another 10, 15, 20 yards, run out the clock. As it stands now, decision-making time for the Ravens. They didn't give it a conceded last time. I don't see them doing it here.
No, especially with only 35 seconds left in the half.
Exactly. So the Ravens looking to punt out of their own end zone. And again, confidence in the punting game. Not quite as long a kick as that wind kind of. And again, you talked about it. It's so light, the wind, but once it gets high enough, it may hold it up a little. And that's what happened here. So again, with 29 seconds and a rather explosive offense here, Carleton definitely not out of the woods as the GGs will take over possession on the Carleton side of the field at the 50-yard line.
Yeah, the Carleton Raven has been working with their hand zone to their back for the last few drives, and they always had short fields from Ottawa, so they're doing a great job under pressure right now, Carleton.
So 29 seconds to go here. Now, again, Seb, are you thinking touchdown on this, or are you thinking just get into Fair's range? How do you handle this if you're Coach Taylor?
Well, I think he'll try to get the chunk of field on the first few plays and then see how it goes.
So Miracle giving up the middle. Simonkinda, a huge hole up the middle for Simonkinda. He's going to drive it down to the 30. And Seb, you've heard this expression a million times. You could have driven a Mack truck. Heck, Seb Tetral could have run the ball right up that up the hole up there.
There was a huge gap in the middle, and it seems like Carleton was probably waiting for a pass there because everybody was running backwards at the beginning. So great job for the O-line and the play calling here.
Another good call by Coach Taylor. Simonkinda content to give it to run the ball up the middle there. Sorry, that was Miracle giving it to Simonkinda. Simonkinda content to kind of give what the defense is, or take what the defense is giving him here. And again, Dances does a nice job of not losing yards, picks up another 3. And again, I think right now the GGs are pretty much in the field goal mentality right now. If they're not going to go for it now, and it looks like they're going to run that clock down to zeros and go ahead and try the field goal.
Yeah, so you got your answer right there. Even though they got a good chunk of field on the first play of the drive, they still decided to just they were comfortable just running the time down and get a field goal out of it.
No, and this again, it's one of those things where field position becomes a huge play in this, where you spend too much time, and the Ravens dodging a bullet are right back in the same position here, and so we'll see if the GGs can make this one a 6-point game going in the locker rooms at half. Fair's going to kick this one from about the 35-yard line. Fair, it's up, and Fair misses to the right, and they're going to get it out of the end zone here as well. So we might have a return here, folks, and it's brought down at about the 12-yard line. So again, back-to-back misses by Fair, or I shouldn't say misses, but back-to-back misses by the field goal team by the GGs. And so the Ravens, clearly their coaching staff knows what they're doing as they come away giving up 0 points. And so, Seb, at the end of the first half here, we've got a bit of a dogfight. And although the statistics probably say there's a lot more offense than the score indicates, if you're just joining us, looks like a defensive battle. Really isn't.
No, exactly, it isn't. Although the Carleton Ravens defense has been doing a really great job for the past few drives. But obviously, if you look at the stats, like you said, there's been a lot of offense, just not a lot of points right now.
No, that's exactly it. Well, like we said, you got a chance, folks. We're at the half right now. Go grab yourself your favorite beverage, favorite snack, and we'll see you all in we'll see you all in about 15 minutes.
Ontario University Athletics has more than 4,000 female student athletes getting into the game. Some are playing for the little girl in the stands, aspiring to be a varsity athlete like them. Some are playing for the powerful group of allies that surround them both on and off of the field. And some are playing to show that talent, dedication, and hard work transcend the labels of gender. Many females, however, see their sport journey end during adolescence. For those who continue on, varsity athletics offers opportunity. It offers community. It's a means to not only continue your dream on the court, but excel beyond it. Because some student athletes may be looking to become Olympians and world champions. Some may see their passion for playing turn into a call for coaching. And some may aim to transform their athletics into prominent positions beyond the sporting world altogether. But for whatever their motives or goals, it's important to have the means to pursue them. It's important to feel like you can inspire the little girl in the stands, compete with your teammates, and break down any barriers to get to where you want to be. And above all else, it's important to remember that we are one.
What you know about time? I'm talking about timelines. I'm talking about 10 seconds to shine.
I'm talking about the amount we spend on that baseline.
What you know about descendancy, a line through time creating interdependencies, the tendency to connect through community, the BSAC and the EDI creating unity.
2 committees, is that just it?
Checking off required boxes so y'all can fit? There's no I in team, and our history has shown
that no work gets done when we go through it alone. Playing defense in zones, sets don't get won on their own.
It takes a family to make a gym feel like a home.
Gardons la forme de nos anciennes. Apprenons leurs leçons, oublions leurs peines. Inspirons la génération qui vient. Car le respect et l'inclusion sont des choses qui s'apprennent. L'oiseau en cage se transforme en cheval, sortant sur la piste, visant la première place sur la liste.
leaders from yesterday, today, and tomorrow, Black culture transcribed through time and can't be borrowed.
We create and recreate the world we all know by turning sorrows into culture and rhythm into flow.
Endless hours, running lines, study sessions, and overtimes. Off-the-court effort may feel unrecognized, but even Six God said, when all the lights go out, that's when you see the real guys.
Sur le terrain comme sur la glace, prenons notre place. Peu importe les injustices auxquelles nous faisons face, un pied après l'autre, avançons avec classe.
As time winds down, have you taken a moment to reflect? I know it's behind you, but the shirt still says respect.
I hope you know with time will change.
GGs can come together and would never be the same.
Passing down torches, igniting our flame, rewriting all the rules of our so-called life game.
We've been apart for a long time. Multiple futures lay before us. Where are we going? How will we get there? How do we make things better? We can build, but if we dream together, we can rebuild. We can create. But if we work together, we can recreate. We can connect, but only if we can find a way to reconnect. As we lead the charge towards a more inclusive society, we need your help to recharge our spirits. As we make progress towards a sustainable future, we need your help to remake the status quo. While others write off the search for a better world, you can help us lead the research that will rewrite the way forward. What happens next is up to us. Let's work together to reimagine what's possible.
Dear women, you should be defined as resilient, courageous, competitive, and confident. Thank you for earning your rightful spots and surprising those who told you that you couldn't hit that shot. For breaking molds that society has created without fear of being criticized or hated. To your winning streaks, world records, gold medals, and more, you put in that work and it reflects in more ways than just a score. You keep your head up high and continue to lead the way, becoming moms, sisters, friends, and partners to all people that encourage you to play.
To the backhand, goal!
And finally, you're capable of all. You get up bigger and better, no matter how hard you fall. Women, don't let anything get in your way, as it's Women's Day all day and every day.
What a game of hockey! Team, their first victory of the year.
Ontario University Athletics has more than 4,000 female student athletes getting into the game. Some are playing for the little girl in the stands, aspiring to be a varsity athlete like them. Some are playing for the powerful group of allies that surround them both on and off of the field. And some are playing to show that talent, dedication, and hard work transcend the labels of gender. Many females, however, see their sport journey end during adolescence. For those who continue on, varsity athletics offers opportunity. It offers community. It's a means to not only continue your dream on the court, but excel beyond it. Because some student athletes may be looking to become Olympians and world champions. Some may see their passion for playing turn into a call for coaching. And some may aim to transform their athletics into prominent positions beyond the sporting world altogether. But for whatever their motives or goals, it's important to have the means to pursue them. It's important to feel like you can inspire the little girl in the stands, compete with your teammates, and break down any barriers to get to where you want to be. And above all else, it's important to remember that we are one.
What you know about time? I'm talking about timelines. I'm talking about 10 seconds to shine.
I'm talking about the amount we spent on that baseline.
What you know about descendancy, a line through time creating interdependencies, the tendency to connect through community, the BSAC and the EDI creating unity.
2 committees, is that just it?
Checking off required boxes so y'all can fit? There's no I in team, and our history has shown
that no work gets done when we go through it alone. Playing defense in zones, sets don't get won on their own.
It takes a family to make a gym feel like a home.
Gardons la forme de nos anciennes. Apprenons leurs leçons, oublions leurs peines. Inspirons la génération qui vient. Car le respect et l'inclusion sont des choses qui s'apprennent. L'oiseau en cage se transforme en cheval, sortant sur la piste, visant la première place sur la liste.
Leaders from yesterday, today, and tomorrow. Black culture transcribed through time and can't be borrowed.
We create and recreate the world we all know by turning sorrows into culture and rhythm into flow.
Endless hours, running lines, study sessions, and overtimes. Off-the-court effort may feel unrecognized, but even Six God said, when all the lights go out, that's when you see the real guys.
Sur le terrain comme sur la glace, prenons notre place. Peu importe les injustices auxquelles nous faisons face, un pied après l'autre, avançons avec classe.
As time winds down, have you taken a moment to reflect? I know it's behind you, but the shirt still says respect.
I hope you know with time a change.
GGs can come together and would never be the same.
Passing down torches, igniting our flame, rewriting all the rules of our so-called life game.
We've been apart for a long time. Multiple futures lay before us. Where are we going? How will we get there? How do we make things better? We can build, but if we dream together, we can rebuild. We can create. But if we work together, we can recreate. We can connect, but only if we can find a way to reconnect. As we lead the charge towards a more inclusive society, we need your help to recharge our spirits. As we make progress towards a sustainable future, we need your help to remake the status quo. While others write off the search for a better world, you can help us lead the research that will rewrite the way forward. What happens next is up to us. Let's work together to reimagine what's possible.
Dear women, you should be defined as resilient, courageous, competitive, and confident. Thank you for earning your rightful spots and surprising those who told you that you couldn't hit that shot. For breaking molds that society has created without fear of being criticized or hated. To your winning streaks, world records, gold medals, and more, you put in that work and it reflects in more ways than just a score.
And hopefully you had a chance to, go do anything you need to do around the household or wherever you're at. Grab yourself your favorite beverage, wherever that might be, and also grab yourself a little bit of a snack here. Seb, we've been talking about it over the half, basically talking about what we saw in the first half here. Not to be unexpected with the two teams we saw. Tight game. Any keys going in the second half, in your opinion?
Well, and we'll see it from the first drive here as Ottawa received the kick. But if they are able to move as well as they did in the first half, now they have to put some points on the board.
So it drives back the return. We got a bit of a lane here. Look out down to the 33-yard line. Again, and we're seeing the speed. You just got to love the speed that this youngster, Charles Asselin, brings to the table here. And again, a little bit late. Great job by the Ravens closing those laneways.
Exactly. We've seen Asselin. At some point, we thought that he was able to turn the corner, but great speed by the Carleton Ravens coverage team.
No, been very impressive watching the Ravens. Fundamentally sound. I mean, in terms of this, now we look at their special teams, and I mean, you have the Coach Mark Nelson, who has, years experience, has coached at the professional level, and their defensive coordinator is Coach Alex Lothian, who, again, another fundamentals-based guy. So, again, not surprising, but, again, some good speed and fundamentals on display here. Gigi's a little bit of tomfoolery, for lack of a better term, sending an end around. That ball comes out, but he's going to be already out of bounds here, there's no doubt, despite the Carleton demands that it's their ball. Referees confirm, agree, that one's out of bounds, and that'll bring up second down and about 1 maybe here, as the G's managed to pick up 9 yards on the carry by number 34, Amilcar Polk.
Ottawa's coming back with that tight bunch formation on offense, running with the Polk on a reverse or on a sweep play.
Short yardage here, Miracle, and you know what? To me, it always makes sense, and I've always never understood why they get away from that in the Canadian game. You got a yard to give there. You got a 6'3" quarterback. You know what? 6'4" quarterback. Just have them die for it, and that's what Miracle did. And Gigi's 1st and 10 from their 45, looking to continue where they left off in the first half here. And Seb, you brought it up. It's been a very quick football game so far. I mean, we're not even at the 90-minute mark yet, and we're a couple minutes into the second half. And, again, you see the ground game and what it does.
Exactly, with both teams running the ball a lot and, staying in bounds and completing stuff, though.
Wide open, man. Breakdown in coverage by Carleton. And unfortunately, and again, not saying anything about the throw by Miracle, because that's one heck of a long throw, hash mark to field. But again, if that's a little bit further, we're looking at the field or the extra point team coming on here.
You're right. It was kind of like a fade / flying die route. Estime was just waiting on the sideline, with his back towards the sideline and just dropping off, waiting for the ball to fall in his hand because he had nobody around him for about 10 yards.
No, we see that once in a while, and again, without speculating what it was, maybe the Carleton was in a bit of a pattern matching type of defense and somebody didn't match their patterns. That brings up 1st and 10. Gigi's knocking on the Ravens' doorstep here. Miracle looking left all the way, or check looking right all the way. Fires it out to you-know-who. Brings it down. That'll be another first down for the University of Ottawa Gigi's.
Gendron with the nice quick out route on that one. Miracle, quick toss. He just turned around, give the ball to Gendron, and Gendron spin around, look at what's going on in front of him, and decided to just split 2 defenders to get the first down.
Well, again, quietly throwing because it's not been flashy, but playing one heck of a ball game right now is number 12, Ben Miracle, the Gigi's quarterback. Miracle here, 1st and 10. He's got split receivers to each side. He's going to give it to Simon Kinda on an RPO type look, and the Carleton Ravens line holds tight there. Simon Kinda picks up maybe a yard or 2, and that'll bring up second down, and we'll call it second and 9 here, Seb.
Nice adjustment here from the Carleton front. We'll see how they fare in the second half, try to stop the run in the middle. Ottawa has been running the ball really, really well in the middle with both Simikina and Polk in the first half.
So with that, and that's a good point to bring up, see what adjustments they're willing to make, because again, both Polk and Simikina, to your point, Seb, have been running, and it hasn't been all that difficult too. We'll say not quite uncontested, but it really hasn't been all that contested. Miracle over the middle, touchdown, Gigi's. And we see the arm strength of Ben Miracle as he hits Willie-Pierre Dimbongi over the middle. Great job by Dimbongi, but this throw is impressive. This is a strike.
That was straight on the wire, in between 2 defenders. Dimbongi kind of just curled in between those 2 defenders in the intrazone, and the pass was straight in his arm. Great pass with a lot of velocity in here.
Well, I'm sure we're going to get a look here, Seb, if you want to walk us through this.
Again, like you talked about earlier, Miracle is pretty good at looking away, try to make the safety works away from where he wants to throw the ball. And right away you see him, he cut the ball, turn his hand to the left, move the safety away, came back to his main receiver, Dimbongi, and throw that ball right in between 2 defenders. Great pass.
Again, and we're seeing all kinds of passes from Miracle here, and it's kind of what you want from your quarterback, but it's been an impressive afternoon, showing that he can throw the long ball downfield. He can show the quick hitting game, get it out of his hands quickly, get it to the receivers, let him be athletes, and then he's showing when he's got to power that in between the seam or throw an NFL or a big boy type throw and rip it in between coverage. He's shown the ability to do that.
We've seen him having success with the RPOs and the triple options earlier this year. It's the first thing to actually see him being able to be comfortable in his pocket and just, throwing the pass and ripping the passes from the middle of this pocket like this. He has a lot of time too. Pressure's not getting to him, so he's showing a great performance today.
And you know what I mean? It's. I want to call it one of those cliches because everybody says it, but I don't think they actually. I think they just know they're supposed to say it. But it is so true and so relevant. It's just the front seven's football.
Yep.
In fact, I would even eliminate the backers in that and just call it the two lines. Those two fronts, that is football. You don't win that, you're usually not going to win football games. And you see a great job by the G's O-line today. Carleton probably needing some points here. Only a 10-point game. Plenty of time here. We've just kicked off the third quarter. But again, you've heard me say it before, and I got to stop bringing it up. But you get that sense right now, Seb, that slowly but surely through attrition, the GGs are just chipping away. And Carleton's got to have an answer soon.
They do, and we've seen some of their passing game not being quite on par today with what the GGs are doing. But now that they're trailing by 10 points, we're going to need to see some powerful plays here.
So DeYoung here hoping to get something started for the Ravens. They got 3 receivers to the bottom of the screen. That's the boundary side. Going to give up the middle here. We got a bit of a hole up the middle. Good job collapsing by the GG's D-line. And again, we saw a bit, and we'll see how this unfolds. Here things getting a little sketchy down there as Ferguson picks up looks like Ferguson got about 5 yards in that. And again, Seb, I don't know if they'll have the replay here, and you can walk us through, but you'll see a huge hole, but you'll also see great jobs collapsing those holes by the GG's D-line.
Yeah, we talked about the athleticism and speed of the front earlier. So they get in good position, and then they collapse those holes.
So again, not a chance just to take a look at it just because the Ravens want to go their no huddle here. DeYoung going to give up the middle again, contend. And the pile is pushing. This one's going to be close. I think he may have got it, depending on where his body is at the bottom of that pile.
We talked about the powerful O-lineman of the Carleton Ravens, and we were able to see it on that play, just straight inside zone, and they pushed the pile. Now they get into a short third down.
Third down, just a little bit short. The body I saw was not, in fact, Ferguson's. It was one of their linemen. But Ferguson gets them close to where they want to get to. And the Ravens looking at 3rd and inches here. And at this point in the game, I think you got to go for it here.
Yeah, they're bringing Rinaldi's, who's their third quarterback, who also plays on special teams. He's their big quarterback, the powerful guy.
Well, you see Tristan Rinaldi's come in there, and you see it's a trend we're seeing in pro games, college games now. And it's not, you bring in that guy that specializes on the short yardage.
Exactly, and Rinaldi's who played CJUP football as well before, and he was one of those quarterbacks who likes to run the ball a lot. He's a bigger guy. He's powerful, and now they're using him as a quarterback / a slasher running back too. Sometimes he's staying in the game actually right now.
So Carleton on the move here on about their own 38-yard line. DeYoung in the pistol formation. He looks to give. He's going to hand off. It's going to be up the middle here. And again, met by a group of GGs. 2 or 3 yard gain, but not much more after that. That was a name we've called. I mean, basically, we've been called Ferdinand Josh Ferguson. And you see great effort by Ferguson here, but that GGD line making things tough on him.
Yeah, you're right. I think they're keeping Tristan Rinaldi's in there to try to play some of the options that they could have with him running the ball, try to spread a little bit the front to give some more crease for the running backs.
So we'll see if we'll see if we see DeYoung or if this changes the game plan. Good observation there with Rinaldi in the game, and there you go, exactly what we're looking at. Clearly they're seeing something that they wanted to execute, or maybe they're not getting what they want out of the pass here.
No, exactly, and as I said earlier, they're built to run the ball, and with DeYoung in there, he's a good quarterback, but he's not that running type. Now they bring in Rinaldi's, who's definitely a dual threat running quarterback. He's also a little bit more of a running back than a quarterback, actually. So with him back there, it gives a different perspective for the defense.
Different perspective and a different set of problems for the defense as well. So with that, Rinaldi's run 1st and 10 Ravens. Happy to keep it on the ground option. We haven't seen it yet. That's Ferdinand trying to get the edge, and that's Menard's going to break it down. And again, didn't make the tackle there, but you see the speed of Pascal Menard. He forces that, doesn't let Ferdinand get the edge, and instead of that being a 10, 12, 15-yard play set, they keep him to a yard or two.
Yeah, exactly. They're coming out with the good old triple option, with the toss behind. You've known some of those play, right? We were joking about that before the game, actually. But with Rinaldi's, it's actually a whole different playbook.
So with that brings up 2nd down and 8 for the Ravens. 7:32 to go here in the third quarter. Rinaldi still in at quarterback. Or check that, DeYoung back in at quarterback. Takes a snap, gives up the middle. And again, the Ravens going to be knocking on the door of a first down here. And Seb, I think you're in 3-down territory here at this point. Plenty of time in the game, but you got to start considering time.
Yeah, you have to, although you're only trailing by 10 points, but you haven't been able to do much on offense other than that one drive at the beginning of the first quarter. And with the way Ottawa is going right now, first drive of the second half, they drove the field easily, scored a nice touchdown. So you have to think that you cannot start to trail by too much point right now. So if you want to stay in that game, obviously you have to score right now.
No, well, we saw it. You know what? It's kind of mirrors, in a way, both the first 2 games that we did at home, Seb. We saw it with Guelph, where you just got that sense that Ottawa was rolling, and eventually Guelph, okay, you have to answer, and you have to, because you're not stopping it on the other end. And then we saw it flip side, Ottawa the victim to it when we watched Queens, in a very tight, but it was like, this is a close game, but I have the sense that
it could get out of hands quickly.
Yeah, Queens is, you know what I mean? The score says one thing, but we saw something else, and you see it unfold. So with that, the Carleton player comes off, again, on his own steam, doesn't look to be anything major. That's number 58 for the Ravens, the injured Raven. That's O-lineman Dylan McCoy out of Sturgeon County, Alberta. So McCoy, a third-year guy, and again, looks like Dylan's doing pretty good, and we'll probably see him very shortly. Brings up a 3rd and 1 here for the Ravens. They've got Ronaldus back in the game here. Ronaldus going to keep it. He's going to bounce outside. Bit of a risky play, but when you have that speed, you saw it there. Again, you make a risk, but if Peter doesn't make the tackle there, maybe Ronaldus is still running.
Exactly, you're right. Great reaction by the GG's defense, but great play by Ronaldus as well to go and get that first down a little bit more.
And we watched, and you just saw the replay there with James Peter, super impressive. We also saw it on the play where Ferdinand went outside. Menard kind of ran him down. Again, it's Peter on the pursuit. It's just, it can't be. When you got that sideline-to-sideline pursuit from your ends, it makes life miserable. So here we go, 1st and 10 for the Ravens, scrimmaging from the GG's 45. Looking swing pass, it's Young swinging it out. And cutback, Ferdinand, nice cutback, gets down to the 40, and then he's going to be bottled up. But a great job getting 5 out of basically nothing by Kasim Ferdinand.
Great play, and we've seen that type of play for both teams. Obviously, the Carleton Ravens are executing that a little bit better because, the receivers are blocking well, and you see the entire offensive line and all the offensive players coming down to block in front of the receiver as well. So great execution by the Carleton Ravens on that swing pass.
So that'll bring up the game maybe, but we'll call it 6. That'll bring up 2nd and 4 for the Ravens. DeYoung, he's got 3 receivers to the wide side of his fill. DeYoung, quick hitter. They're fired out. That's Ferdinand again, looking to get the ball quickly in his hands. And again, it's a name we mentioned at the beginning of the broadcast, but we haven't called him a lot. Maybe this is a strategy to get the ball into his hands outside of that tackle box.
It is. He's an athletic guy. He lines up sometimes in the backfield too. He's a do-it-all guy. Kind of a jack of all trades, sometimes carrying the ball from the backfield, sometimes coming out as a swing pass guy. He also had the one touchdown grab on a seam there, so he's able to do a lot of things for that offense.
No, and we said it earlier at the beginning. They were looking to establish the horizontal game, kind of went away from it. Looks like they're returning to it. And right back up the middle here, and it looks like Carleton's got a little bit of a rhythm happening here as Ferguson again stuffs up the middle. He's got about 3-4 yards. And we're starting to see this is similar to, say, Ottawa's drives in the first half where they were getting 6-7 yards a carry. Carleton, not quite the 6-7, but again, putting themselves in a real advantageous position for 2nd down.
You're right, and they seems to try to go on third down most of the time. So they're okay with getting 4 or 5 yards on the first 2 plays because they're going on third down anyway.
So here we go, 2nd down, and we'll call it a long 6, short 7. DeYoung drops straight back, looking right away. Oh, and that was just miscommunication because DeYoung actually had his man that was intended for number 87, Tristan Reddy, the local product. And again, there was a little miscommunication, Seb, because if we get another look at this, he was open. It just looked like DeYoung wanted to throw before Reddy wanted to catch.
Exactly. The receiver didn't even look down. He looked, and the pass was way behind him too. So the accuracy was not really great, but the timing wasn't good either, and the receiver was not waiting for that ball at all.
Those guys they just showed, I think, agreed with you because they were definitely rather spirited with their flashing their gang signs or whatever they were doing. So, you know what, Seb, I know they agree with you. All right, so with that, that'll bring in the field goal attempt. And again, we've seen some good kicking on both sides of the ball. And Forcier going to put that right. And did that hit the upright, Seb? Yeah, it hit the upright.
It's a dead ball right now.
So, again, I need to stop jinxing. I'm talking about what great kicking we've seen. I'm talking about Campbell Fair putting on Bank Street, and we got block kicks, wide kicks, hitting uprights. So, with that, again, Carleton stays in the game, moves the ball nicely, showed they can move it, but I think now the onus is on that Ravens defense to show that they're – and although it's only 17 points after 3 quarters, Seb,
you're right.
You just get the sense it's a little more.
It is, and it's a shame for Carleton, who had a really good drive on that sequence, really good drive. But come up short and hit the upright. So that's the worst scenario because, you know, the opposite team get the ball back at the 20. You don't even have the chance to get at least 1 point and tackle the returner in the end zone. So that worst case scenario when you hit the upright for a kicker.
No, and like you said, and again, plenty of time still, you know. Still 5 minutes or almost 5 minutes to go in this quarter, and we still got a full quarter of football. And this is Canadian football, so 10 points can be made up in the matter of I don't know. I'd like to say probably the matter of about 90 seconds. But the reality is you're not going to get that many tries at it.
No, exactly, especially that the way Ottawa's controlling the ball and controlling the clock so far, there's not many drive left for Carleton to try to come back. And that drive is really key right now at the end of the 3rd quarter. If Ottawa goes and score, then they're going to put him in probably like a 3-possession game. So it could get really hard for Carleton to come back.
I'm thinking you're right on that one, Seb. I'm thinking that you're right. And on top of it, we've basically seen in this game, again, just Ottawa's, even if they're not scoring, their ability to take chunks of territory. And so it becomes twofold. There's you're eating the clock, because every first down is equivalent, especially before you get to the 3-minute mark. I always say every first down is 2 minutes.
Yep.
You roll a first down in the Canadian game that you're looking at easily, manage the clock properly, you're looking at 2 minutes that you're taking off the opposition, or let's say 1:45 in the Canadian game. Okay, and then on top of it, it's field position. And I mean, Carleton has shown the ability with DeYoung to hit the, like we said, on the touchdown, to hit the deep ball. But really, after that first touchdown drive, we haven't seen Carleton threaten vertically at all this afternoon.
No, they're just tripping at it. You know, a few 4, 5, 6 yards here and there. But other than that one big play, you know, they need time to cover the ground. So just like you said, the field position is of great importance right now.
So on that note, Gigi's Miracle going to start on his own, we'll call it 20-yard line here. Miracle, play action rollout, has his man over the middle there. A nice stop by Miracle. And I'm going to tell you something. When you're in a groove, you're in a groove. And you know what, Seb? I think Miracle's in that groove. Hitting Maxime Melanfant, who does a great job. Here, Seb, if you can walk us through and we'll see how he settles in.
We talked about how, you know, the running game can influence the passing game afterwards. You know, great fake inside run here. They had 2 blockers to kind of collapse the corner of the line here to give Miracle time to come out of the pocket, you know, just roll outside, and he had 3 options down the field, had time to set his feet and throw a nice ball.
Miracle give up the middle. Nice initial contact, and again, that's Amilcar Polk, who we see kind of break that first tackle. Does a good job in doing his best Simon Kinda impression.
Exactly. That you know, we talked about how Carletons were great tacklers early in the game, but as the game progressed and Ottawa's get good success in those runs, it gets harder and harder to tackle those guys, and you see the tiredness starts to get into the Carleton defense.
Fatigue will be a factor when you just completely pound. And again, what's lost on is the fact that, you know, you have those 5 O linemen constantly driving down your throat. give up the middle here. And it looks like, again, it's going to be close to a first. Now here's the decision-making time. If they don't get the first, do you go for it here, Seb?
It's a hard decision. I would go because, you're tight in the middle of the field. You know that Carleton needs a lot of time to drive the ball, so I would go for it.
So it looks like, you know what? It looks like they're taking your advice right now. As I see a bunch of GGs running on the field, and none of them look like they are too talented when it comes to kicking footballs. They look like they probably have other jobs to Exactly. Well, you know what? Coach Belfoy will have a few extra seconds to decide that as we have an injured Raven on the play. And now looking at, we got about, I would say, we're looking at 2 minutes to go. 2 minutes to go in the quarter, Seb. Again, 10 points, we've said it. That's, I would argue 45 seconds is what you need in the Canadian game in terms of to really have a chance to bring that back. But, and this is a big but, we've seen Ottawa consistently get 2, 3, if they don't score, get 2 or 3 first downs, which takes away, moves it. If you're the Carleton Ravens defense, what do you do to kind of combat this run? Do you take more chances, more risks? Like if you're the DC, what are you doing?
Yeah, you could be a little bit more aggressive, sending more pressures, try to disrupt whatever's Miracle doing right now, because like you said, he's in his game, he's in his groove. So I would try to kind of like, distract him with some more pressure right now.
So Miracle going to give it in the backfield there, and the first down yardage looks to be gained. Again, very rarely is it not gained from that distance, especially in the Canadian game with the 1 yard. And that's Simon Kinda bullying him the way up the middle, and they're going to have another first down.
GG's brought a few defensive players on the field to try to push the pile. Peters and Pizzuto were there. 2 of the defensive stars from the GG's were on the field for that first down, so they brought a lot of people in there.
No, like I mentioned earlier in terms of when they were coming on the field, I mean, they looked like they had a purpose, but their purpose wasn't there going in there to kick football. So kick butt, Seb. That's what it might have been.
There you go.
Like that? There you go. So we got Miracle, 1st and 10. Play action, fires out to the flats here. Minimal gain here. Again, Miracle right in his groove here. That's Tristan Park with pickup maybe about 2-3 yards. But more specifically, Miracle just seems to be throwing the ball exactly where he wants it to be.
Exactly, and we see those defensive end being always in a situation where they cannot commit to the run too much, although they're running the ball down their throat. And even if they're trying to contain Miracle, just that little fake, that running fake, give him some time to get outside and throw the ball perfectly to his receivers outside.
So with that, we'll give him a long 4, short 5. So that brings up a short 5 or a long 5, short 6. Miracle, gun looking completely to his right, fires, nice ball in between coverage. That should be good enough for another GG first down. We'll see where the mark is. And again, what's Oladejo with the catch there, but I think the most impressive thing is just he's ripping that ball into the little windows.
He is, and it's impressive how he's been using a lot of receivers today. He's using all his weapon. We've seen in the first quarter, first half, it was all Gendron, and we start to see Dimbungi a little bit more in a few plays. We saw a few catch from Estime as well. Now, it's the first time that you call his name today, Aladejo. And I remember 2 weeks ago, he was the man of the hour, too. So, they have a lot of weapon on offense, and they use them all today. So, great job for Miracle.
No, I like how you corrected yourself and said in the second half. Because I was going to say he was using one man and one man only, and that's the man he was using. Gendron. And you know what? I would go to this guy, too. He seems to be the complete package. And the reason I'm saying that, Seth, is he probably just picked up another 2 yards fighting for that first down. I mean, really impressive work there by Nicolas Gendron.
You're right. He's fast. We've seen his strength, his speed earlier on some of the plays. And we're able to see his strength as well with the ball in his hand on a few plays where he just split defenders and tried to get the extra yard or two.
So with that, that'll bring up the end of the first quarter, or the third quarter. I don't know why I said first there, Seb. That brings us to the end of the third quarter. So the GGs will run the final play, barring a penalty here. And again, GG's in a good position here on the Ravens' 40-yard line with a first down, threatening to add to their lead here. Miracle 4 receivers to the wide side of the field. He's going to hand the ball. That's Polk going up the middle there, dancing for yards. And again, maybe getting about 3 or 4 yards on the carry. And that'll bring us to the end of the third quarter with the University of Ottawa GGs leading this edition of Panda 17-7. And folks, if you haven't had a chance to, or you just kind of jumped in or watching us here, we're right here kicking off the fourth quarter of the 53rd edition of this of Panda. And I mean, Seb, much like what we expected.
Yeah, it is. And you talked about a little bit of the previous Panda game and the high score game that were in those games. And today doesn't seem to be a game that's going to be like 45-43 or something like one of those games that you talked about earlier. But definitely a lot of offense on both sides. But like we talked about earlier, not a lot of points scored. But both teams are driving the field, being able to get close to the end zone. We had 2 missed field goals by Ottawa. One was blocked, one was missed. Some turnovers as well. Carleton not able really to finish their drive. So we see a lot of football in between like the 20-yard lines and some like 2 big plays by Ottawa who that allowed them to get a good chunk of yards. But other than that, that's why we don't see a high score today, because both teams not seem to be able to get in the groove when they get to the red zone.
No, 100%. Like we talked about or commented, the alumni zone between the 35 and 35, and that's where a lot of this game has been played today. So we're just about ready for the fourth quarter to get underway here, about 60 seconds from the beginning of the fourth quarter. And again, 10-point game here. No need to kind of reinvent what you're doing if you're Carleton. No need to push the panic button. But on the other hand, what adjustments do you make going into this quarter to hopefully change the way the games have been going so far?
Well, it's hard to say when the game is not out of hand like it is right now. I mean, it's only a 10 points difference, like you said. So you don't want to get in a situation where you commit too many mistakes and actually give the game to the other team. But at some points, both offensively and defensively, Carleton will have to start to be more aggressive and try to get some more chunk of yards in offense, try to get some more big plays, and definitely try to take out the rhythm of Miracle, because he's doing great things today.
One of the words that I liked, or the term you used there, was the rhythm of Miracle. And I mean, again, we've commented, third-year guy, veteran QB, we think he's got the tools, but this is a game we've seen him put it all together. He's looking impressive. So Miracle continuing the drive, gives to Simonkinda. Simonkinda dances around, avoids the first tackle, as he always does. But the GGs will be short here. And again, 10-point lead, 2-possession game. Do you kick the field goal and keep it at 2 possessions?
Yeah, I think you send the kicker.
No, and again, maybe about an hour and a half ago, I'd be telling you this is almost automatic for Fair, and you trot him out there. But we've seen Fair have 1 block today and miss 1, and we've seen an upright. So nothing is automatic in this great game of football, particularly in Panda.
You're right.
Fair's going to line up here. He's going to let this one go from about the 40. They're going to, they're going to hold it right on the 40. Fair's going to be on the right hash. And again, doesn't change a lot, just takes it out of the field goal touchdown combination for Carleton to tie things up. Waiting on the snap, ball's down, kick is up, Fair's kick, right down the middle this time. And with that, and 14-13 to go in the third quarter, it is the University of Ottawa GGs adding to their lead 20-7 over crosstown rivals, the Carleton Ravens.
And with that 13-point lead now, it's a whole different game for Carleton. So you have to adjust your game plan at this point, because you're losing by 2 possessions. And like you said, it's not only a touchdown and a field goal difference. Now you have to score 2 touchdowns. And the way the game has been going so far, it's hard for Carleton to even get to the red zone. So they have to change a little bit the way they do things right now.
And just for anybody who's catching the last few images that came up on the screen, we just want to know that wasn't a sponsor suggesting you eat at a particular restaurant. Right? So it's just we're completely separated from these things. Just to let everybody know out there. So anyways, bringing it back to live action here. You got to love Panda. 2nd down and 5 after, we'll call it 2nd down and 4 after the Ferguson run up the middle. And it looks like pretty much their idea going forward is Ferguson between the tackles with a little dash of the fullbacks and Ferdinand outside.
Yeah, you're right. Ferdinand, like we talked about earlier, he's a do-it-all guy, so they like to put the ball in his hands outside.
So with that, DeYoung, 2nd and maybe we got about a long 4 to go. DeYoung drops right back over the middle. He's got his man, and that is Ferdinand. And Ferdinand off to the races down to about midfield. He's going to be dragged down about the 54-yard line. But again, we see how dangerous he can be.
He is, and he shows his speed on that one too. Run after the catch. So great job by Ferdinand.
Well, I think this is the position, and right the whole play, DeYoung was looking for Ferdinand, but we've seen it. Get the ball in his hands early. Let him be an athlete. Carleton, 4 receivers to the wide side, which is the top of your screen. DeYoung looking to call the play after they put in the freeze. Plays called in. Ottawa U looking to send 4 right now. DeYoung with the 4 receivers. DeYoung draws back, looking to his right, fires. That's a little bit low. It looks like it was Corral there. They're going to give him the catch. And again, a little bit of a low ball there. Maybe somewhere, again, if we talk about yak zone throws here, if DeYoung gets that up, he gives his man a chance to run with the ball here.
Oh, we've seen Victon being really aggressive on the corner here, so I think it's a good thing to throw the ball low and being catchable only for the receivers.
So Mafuto with the catch, run up the middle here, and again, Carleton's going to get shut down. Seb, is it basically 3-down territory here?
I think it is, especially that you're on the GG side of the field right now. You have to go for it because you haven't been there a lot today, especially in the second half. You have to take the chance that you're past the 50-yard lines on the GG side right now. Like I said, you have to play aggressively because your game plan has to change when you're down by 13 now.
No, definitely, and even if they can hold the GGs up, well, they might have got the Gs to jump there. DeYoung gives it up. Interesting play call. That's showing a lot of confidence in your O-line. So I'm thinking either they just had an RPO and that was the pure read, which again, in the real interesting play call, Seb.
It is interesting, and I was kind of surprised as well, just like you, because they had kind of like a silent count. It seems like they went hard count, and then instead of like resetting themselves, they just snapped the ball right away, tried to get the defense off guard. Obviously, it didn't work on that play, but that was a strategy, and you have sometimes to be aggressive and try those things. Didn't work on that one.
Well, the other thing I find curious about the decision is if we look at the history of the game, they're averaging 3-4 yards a carry. They haven't, like, I would understand. I don't make that call, but I mean, I understand if you say, okay, look at the history of what Simon Kinda's done for 3 quarters and do it. So anyways, neither here nor there as the GGs take over. Speaking of Simon Kinda, he's going to get the ball, but he's driven right down almost immediately. Pile of Ravens. There's a few banged up players down there. We'll see if they get up.
And we've seen just now how, Carleton, just like we talked about, they're sending more people now. They're trying to be more aggressive with their front.
So once again, with the injured player, and he looks to be okay. He's just down on one knee. We don't want to speculate, but that's LeBerge Chung, who we saw go down a little bit earlier. Hopefully it is not related to the same injury, or maybe hopefully it is, and it's just a minor little thing that's nagging.
Seems to be able to get back on his feet.
So again, jogs off under his own steam. So I mean, I think, and again, without being a doctor trying to speculate, I do play one on TV, but I'm not technically one, so I'm thinking he's okay.
Yeah, he seems to be all right. He just goes among his teammates and grabs some water, and we'll see how it goes.
That's one thing I just never liked was water. I don't know why. People get, like, because they tell you it's neutral. I don't know. I don't like water. Never have. If you carbonate it, I'm on board. But it's just plain.
You like to put some of the the fruity juice in there?
You know what? I'll tell you what. I'll put anything in that water if I'm throwing the ball like Miracle today, because he's ripping that in there again. Now the question is, again, is it Ben Miracle or is it Nicolas Gendreau or is it a little column A, a little column B? And Seb, I'm just going to kind of cross the line or get out of my lane and go into yours a little, because I want to talk to the last, and for anybody that watched that, Great quarterback technique, and you see the loaded gun that Miracle was. Hopefully we get another shot as there's a player down. But again, you see the loaded position of the quarterback there, Miracle, and that's one of the things you see in that veteran QB. And as such, he's ready to rip the ball immediately, has great lower body form, and he's just been delivering the rock today, Seb.
He is. Even on the play actions or RPOs, his feet are already set to be able to throw the ball really fast. So even with the fakes, he's cranking that arm really fast, and we've seen the ball getting out of his hand on a rip. So he's doing really good today, even on just a straight drawback as well as an RPO. So yeah, kudos to Miracle today. He's doing a good job. Now we just see Gendron with knee on the ground, and he's standing up and walking by himself, but hopefully he's going to be okay.
He's fine. He just wanted to take a moment for everybody to kind of to acknowledge the game that he's having today. And quite frankly, you know what? If I'm Nicolas Gendron and I'm having the game he's having, you go ahead and have everybody acknowledge that. All joking aside, hopefully Nicolas fine. Obviously a key member, playing one heck of a football game today. So again, with Miracles ripping it in there and Gendron bringing it down, that brings up another first down GG's. And again, looking to put this one out of the Ravens' reach, which I think a touchdown on this drive could do it. Simon Kinda plowing his way up the middle. And Seb, I think fatigue is starting to kick in.
It is, and we talked about it a little earlier when we saw some missed tackles by the Carleton Ravens, and with that kind of like bunch formation that they bring with everybody tied up in between the hash marks. Obviously they're running the ball with that front, but they're bringing a lot of people at point of attack, and it's hard for the Carleton Ravens to adjust to it. And now we just saw Semekinda take the cutback lane for a big gain.
So with that, again, first down gain, GG's eating up the clock, eating up the yards. Miracle, 3 receivers in trip formation at the bottom. Content to give it to Simon Kinda. Simon Kinda rolling now, goes out to about the 30. Pickup of about 3 yards, but you can just see the confidence in his step. We'll wait and see what this flag is. Flag thrown here. Things potentially could be getting a little chippy. But again, if we get a chance to look at it, you just see he has a bit of a giddy up in his step.
He does, and it's incredible to see a big running back like this being able to be patient, try to attack the first hold, and then see that the bounce back lane outside and just take it.
So we get a look at it and just bouncing, running, and he's full of confidence at this point. So we got a face mask against the GGs, and again, really the only thing that seems to have stopped them in this game offensively were the turnovers and 2 or 3 key penalties.
Yeah, you're right, and especially I think 3 of those were in the Carleton territory. So it was just in between being able, to kick a field goal or try for the end zone. And every time, they get into that zone where they take themselves out of field goal range.
So with that, Miracle, 4 receivers at the bottom, looking solely to his left. He's going to step up in the pocket, rolls out to his right. Miracle going to tuck it and run. Miracle's going to get forced out of bounds. He's going to get some of that yardage back, but nowhere close to the first down. And again, really loving what I'm seeing with Miracle today, that kind of veteran presence, climbed the pocket, didn't panic, Seb. Looks not as well aware of what the score and what the situation is, not forcing anything. Heck of a game, leading this team in one heck of a way.
And you're right, and it seems like he matured from 2 weeks ago when we saw him, because he was able, even though they lead by a lot 2 weeks ago, he didn't seem to have that maturity on some of the plays. Now we just saw him climb the pocket, just like you said, and he kept his eyes downfield, tried to find a receiver. He didn't just decide to run right away. He was still a quarterback for a long time before he decided now to run the ball, but it was great, great play, great job by Miracle.
And Fair's kick is going to be right through the middle. And so what that does, and I mean probably factoring in, the GG's probably Carleton factoring in when they went for it. It's great that GG's got points. If I'm Carleton right now, the one thing I'm like, okay, the one thing that I'm thinking off the top of my head is that, it's still a 2-possession game. Now, again, it's a heck of a lot harder than 2 possessions. You're looking at about 2 converted or 2 2-point conversions on touchdowns. Likelihood goes down, but again, at least you still have a chance within the 2 possessions.
Yeah, you're totally right, but we're talking about this, and the last time that Carleton had a sniff at the end zone was in the first quarter. So I know we always have to think about how, the scores go in and what you're going to have to do to try to come back in that game. but they're far from the end zone to get one of those touchdowns.
So let's see what they can do. A little trickery. Doesn't fool anybody, and that's going to end up in a bad way for Carleton. Ball's lying on the ground, and again, you're getting to that point in the game when you're having to pull out the stops, and when things, and it's the whatever analogy you want, the domino effect, the snowball. Bottom line is when it starts to rain, it
starts
pours.
to pour. Yeah,
exactly. So, I mean, right now you're looking at one side of the stadium absolutely loving the outcome, and the other half of the stadium probably equally having as much fun but not liking the outcome.
No, exactly. Some of them are probably not even
watching the game.
Some of them probably don't even know that they're at a football game.
No, and well, the only thing I'd correct you on is just your choice of words of saying some of them. I don't think some applies to the majority. And to your point earlier, Seb, we talked about it, and this isn't a shot at him. This is just not his game. This is not the way that, with Tanner DeYoung at QB, this is not really the game Carleton wants, to have him to have to sit there, drop back, and force the ball downfield. Again, not a bad ball coming out, but not his strength.
No, exactly. And, you know, they've been struggling to try to find their groove with DeYoung for the past few years now. When you had the luxury to have a guy like Jesse Mills for a few years who had the cannon for an arm, now obviously you cannot have the same game plan that you had a few years ago.
Or even a Mike Aruda.
Yeah, you're right.
And Asselin punt drives him back to his own 40. He's going to bring that up the middle. Asselin showing some type of acrobatic athleticism, stays on his feet here. And again, it's coming up all GGs right now.
They're going to have a short field again to try to, to get some more points on the board with 6:44 left in the game. Now, if they put one more drive together, try to get some time off the clock, and even if they finish with a field goal, like you said, now you're at the limit of a two possession game. I mean, so if they score on that drive, that's going to be the end.
No, it won't be.
No.
1983. Any alum from 1983 watching this will tell you, no, Seb Tetro, you're wrong.
I'm wrong.
Biggest comeback in Panda history, fourth quarter, 1983, 24 points by the Ravens.
How much time was left on the clock?
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
Okay, but you know what? In 1983, I wasn't even born, so it's not in my references.
And even that, they didn't throw nearly as effectively as they throw in 2022.
Okay.
And you do know in 1983, I'm going to tell you, I was around, you weren't, so you can't verify this, but I'll tell you it was fact, is the way the atmosphere was in 1983 was different than nowadays. And so it was a little heavier air. It was just something with the last millennium. They fixed all this. It was a joint staff of something. But anyways, so it wasn't scientifically as easy to do a comeback and throw the ball. So it's even more impressive in 83 than in 93, 2003. Google it. Trust me. Anybody out there, you Google, I forget exactly the American city, but you'll find the whole report on it, how they actually created the atmospheric pressure to make it a little more inducive to the throwing game. True story.
All right.
Or maybe it's not, but that's for you to figure out.
I'll take your word for it.
No. So anyways, having said that, Ravens fans, looking at 1983, 24-point comeback. Just a couple of odd notes here. Seb, did you know that this year's Panda game, we're going to hit the 500,000 mark in attendance?
Oh,
so this year will be 500,000 mark in attendance. They're at 489 something is where they're at coming into this game. And assuming there's more than 11,000, which they sold more than 11,000 tickets.
More. We actually haven't seen the attendance today, so we don't know what's the number.
No, but it's it's one of those things where, again, I understand the logistics of it and everything. Look out. We'll get back to that in the middle. Another Simonkin to run up the middle for about 15 yards. But it really makes you wonder. It's a shame that you couldn't have this atmosphere 4 games of the year.
I know.
And really not a lot's changing it other than the marketing of it or whatever, the position. I mean, I get the logistics, but I think you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. Plus, there's probably
over 20,000 people today. So if you're thinking that there's 10,000 for each team, why is not 10,000 people for one game with the GGs, even though, or the Carleton Ravens, even if they play a team from further down west, you could have 10,000 people for every game.
If you market it, I'm with you. I think there's so much marketing potential at U Sport, and I think probably in all the Canadian sports, I think that U Sports may be the most undervalued in terms of the actual talent and the actual product you're watching on the field. And I think, again, it's partly due to our giants down in the south, so we're conditioned NFL, NCAA, this type of thing. We see the 105 at Michigan. Heck, think about it. This is the biggest college game in Canada. This is incredible. If we send all these people into the big house in Michigan,
it's empty.
They would be losing their mind, wondering what happened. Simonkinda going off the edge here. Simonkinda down to about 9 now. Simonkinda's just having his way with white jerseys individuals. If I'm a Raven, I might head south for the winter because Simonkinda is running all over us right now.
Yeah, and like you talked about earlier, the fatigue factor comes in right now at the end of the fourth quarter. You kind of know now that you're starting to be out of that game. It's been hard all game long to try to tackle those backs with the offensive linemen of Ottawa. The Ottawa GGs just grinding and pounding the ball. So it's getting harder and harder for the Carleton Ravens to stop the running game.
No, and it's one thing to say it. You take a look at Simonkinda on your screen there, and we say it, but you have to, I don't think people actually fully realize 235 pounds. And we always say, and you've heard it, Seb, you played both sides of the ball. You were primarily a defensive guy. You've had numerous coaches, I'm sure, translate into French somehow say it. But you want to be the hammer, or not the nail. Be the hammer, not the nail. But what I explain to a lot of people, it ain't baseball. Baseball, you got to pitch down the middle of the plate. I hit it on the sweet spot of the bat. I don't feel anything.
Yeah.
It's not like when your bat saws off and they have that vibration. I don't care how well or how perfect a hit. You feel it. It's your body colliding with somebody else.
Exactly.
So even if you are the hammer, you're the hammer that's feeling somebody. And even if you're the hammer on Simonkinda, that's 235 pounds rolling down.
That's a pretty big nail.
Yeah, exactly. And that nail's moving.
Yeah, exactly.
And moving pretty quickly. So, I mean, it takes its toll here, and we see it. And I think that could be a weapon for the GGs. Obviously not just in this game, but on their on the road to the playoffs and on the road to a possible Yates Cup.
Especially in Canadian football, as deep you get in the season, the weathers get colder. The ball is not as easy to throw as it is in August or September. If you're able to consistently get a good running game, get 4, 5, 6, 7 yards a pop, with a big running back, it's key in the playoff for any Canadian team, especially when you get into late November.
Well, it's funny you say that because we're going back, and again, I'm going back many, many years, but I mean, I'm sure some of the alumni listening or some fans from back in the day remember it. I mean, you go back to those Bishop's powerhouses in the late 80s, early 90s to mid 90s. Again, we're going back, but it illustrates your point. They won the conference or were the conference champions in the regular season years in a row, just kept winning, would go and beat, and every year they would lose in Lennoxville. Why? It was a crazy high-tech passing offense at the time. And you know what the weather's like in Lennoxville in November.
I know what it is. Played there for 3 years.
2nd and 5, Simonkinda up the middle. And Seb, I think that may be the nail in the coffin. What do you think?
Yeah, you're just talking about hammer and nail. There you go. That's the last nail in the coffin, just like you said.
Unfortunately, with 3:43, and Simonkinda knows it himself as he's giving the end of game throat slash. I don't know if we're allowed doing that anymore, but you know what? It's the Panda game.
Yeah.
All bets are off. Great run here by Simonkinda, but you see Carleton just fatigue has kicked in. Great effort by the Ravens. Again, Ottawa was the favorite going in. I think this year's edition, Ottawa clearly has the more talented squad on the field, but throw those records out during Panda.
They do, and if we just look at how the quarterbacking game went, Miracle had probably one of his best game in his career today. Moved well, threw some really good passes. On the other side, the Young was not able, to get things going properly. The passing game was okay, not great. So just comparing those two, it's a great stuff. And then, if we talk about the man of the hour right now, Simonkinda, who just finished that drive. He hit the whole drive was him basically, and he just drove that fill 8, 10, 12 yards per carry, and then he just finished it with a 15 yards for a touchdown, making 3 or 4 guy miss on that run.
It's actually funny because again, I don't want to get you in any hot water here, but an ex-player of yours might have an argument that he's the man of the hour.
Oh yeah, I mean, he had a great first half. I'm just talking about that drive right now, and the way they ran the ball in the second half.
The second half wasn't bad either.
It wasn't bad. It wasn't bad.
It's funny. He's not playing for you anymore, Seb, so he's not feeling that love. Simonkind is the new shiny car. And I'm just messing with both of you. Again, incredible play, but we can't say enough. Again, Seb, I utterly impressed with the game that Miracle played today. Consummate leader. I mean, at times you've heard it in our broadcast, you've heard it as a description that a game manager. It clearly wasn't him today.
Oh, no, he made some plays. It was just not a manager. He actually made something happen today.
No, definitely. So the ball's hammered back inside the 5. One last gasp of Panda air for the Ravens. Brought out to the 30 to the 35, and that's going to be run down. Ferdinand, I think we've got another hold. We'll see what they're calling down here. There was definitely a holding on the play that could have been called. Whether that's what the flag is about, we'll find out.
But that seems to be a late flag. It was way far away from where the returner was. So
that's why I'm thinking it might not be the hold.
No, I think it's a block in the back, like out of nowhere.
And at this point in the game, they got to get, like you said. So we got a spear.
There you go.
And at this part of the game, you really got to keep that stuff under control.
And that's what we talked about earlier, how the referee will be able to keep that game under control for the last 3 minutes, 37 seconds, because, especially now that it's kind of like a one-way game, things can get a little feisty.
No, 100%. So Carleton going to start in the shadow of their own goalpost here. About 3.5 to go. Let's see if they can get something. DeYoung looks to his left, going to look to his right, pull it down, throws. He's got a man going down the sidelines. Lucky that wasn't intercepted. Very, very lucky. If Victomi looks back there, I think that one's picked off.
Yeah, you're right. And a great play by Eric Cumberbatch coming in across the field too, trying to make a play on that ball.
So again, right now this is just the old adage to the victor go the spoils. Well, these are part of the spoils right now. Just a chance for the GGs to have some fun right here as you see that defense still flying around, knowing that Carleton's got to throw for any chance of getting back into this one. DeYoung, 3 receivers out wide. Looking to his left, stands in the pocket, fires over the middle, and he just misses completely. And again, more sense of desperation, but again, not his wheelhouse, not what the Ravens wanted. You brought it up earlier. And we see what happens there, and that's I believe that was number 1 for the GGs with the, or check that.
That was number 8, I think.
That was number 8 with the reception for the GGs. That was Abawaju Guyan with the reception, or with the interception there, and basically putting the exclamation mark on this edition of the Panda game.
It's going to be important for both teams to stay disciplined here at the end of the game. It's not a time to get a bad penalty and get ejected from the game. You still have a few more games in the season. Try to fight for those playoff spots. So make sure you stay disciplined. That's the main thing here, and avoid injury. That's the most important stuff.
Now, Seb, let's take a look at the tale of 2 teams here as we're kind of finishing up here. The G's improved to 5-1. Ravens going to drop to 3-3. In a lot of cases, I think both marks are indicative of where each individual team is at this spot. For Ottawa U, what do you think this leads to? What do you think the potential on this season is?
Well, with that game, they just I think with that victory, they just get a good chance to finish in the first three team in the league. In the OUA, like you said earlier, they still have a game against York and against Western. York, I don't want to say it's a given, but we know how York has been doing for the last few years, and the way the GGs are going right now, I think they might get a victory in 2 weeks. The big game will be the last game of the season here against Western, and that's going to be a big game to find out where the actual GGs fit themselves in the playoff run, because right now they lost against Queens. Queens is on top of them. Western won against Queens as well, so it's going to be a hard-fought battle for the last week of the season. But I think that the GGs could just put themselves in a good situation to finish in the top 3 and host a playoff game here.
And now their opponents, crosstown rivals, and the people looking across from the ball today. Carleton dropped to 3-3. Obviously, they're kind of headed in. I don't want to say they're headed in a different direction because one game does not make a season. But I mean, obviously, coming out of this now, they're back at 500. What are your thoughts on Carleton going forward?
Well, usually, there's 7 teams making the playoff in the OUA. Usually, with a 500 record, you're really on that bubble, on the verge of being able to make the playoff. Obviously, the chances of hosting a playoff game is kind of lost at this point, probably. But they still have a chance to make the playoff and try to do something down the road because not necessarily today, but we've seen them being able to run the ball properly and be an offense that's kind of like are able to have success out of that. So we'll see how it goes for the last 2 games of the season. But if they're able to finish with 500, they have a chance to make the playoff as well.
No, definitely. And again, I mean, we take a look here, and we talked about it at the beginning of the broadcast. We talked about, Ottawa used the favorite going into this, and this is some of Ottawa U's. This is kind of plays into the strengths of Ottawa U or whatnot, and this was probably Ottawa U's season. But you throw out the records. I mean, it's Panda game. The records mean absolutely nothing. But, and the big but on that, is if you look across and you carefully look at the scoreboard, 30-7, the kind of end result is what we were talking about during the whole game. Like the scores kind of, although they kind of, I don't want to say piled on the points because they did nothing like that, but the majority of their points were scored later, but it was just a slow trickle-down effect, a slow knocking down of the Ravens this afternoon.
Consistency on offense, great plays on defense. We're able to, try to limit the Carleton offense to a minimum all the time. So, yeah, it was great. Great game with consistency.
Well, it's actually funny as we take a look, and I mean, to the viewers, I don't think you can see it, but it's both sides of the stadium are starting to empty out. One side is like your traditional sports fan side where, yep, game's over, we're going to leave. The other side is actually just emptying out to the bottom because there's going to be a mad rush to get onto the field, as seems to be the tradition after that Hail Mary in year 1. So I think it's going to be the GGs. Well, I don't think. I'm pretty confident saying I know it'll be the GG's turn here to storm that field. Simonkinda looking to finish this game out big hole. And again, it's all academic right now, but you see the fatigue kind of kicked in with the Ravens D-line, the Ottawa O-line now having their way. Everything's coming up GG's. This edition of the Panda game has been all Ottawa U for all intents and purposes.
Yeah, it's been. And we've seen 2 weeks ago against Guelph, Ottawa won't let up. They went and get that 45 points 2 weeks ago against Guelph Griffin, and still they're just running the ball down the Ravens' throat right now, and that's what they tried to do.
No, and again, one of my favorite things is with football, is I always say you don't dominate in the first quarter, you don't dominate in the third quarter. It's the fourth quarter where you're dominating your opponent. I mean, you look at no matter who's playing, even if it's say Alcorn State against Alabama, and Alabama's 50-point favorite. Alcorn State's coming running out of that locker room with their flag and all hyped. Everybody's hyped in the first quarter.
Yep.
It's not about the first half, but what you're seeing is truly the makings of a potential championship team when you can completely control and dominate your opponent in that fourth quarter. And you can look at what we've seen here in the fourth quarter. That's been the GGs.
That's been the GGs all
I
the
mean,
way.
They took over this game late in the third, early fourth. And again, not to take away from the game Miracle had, because we could talk a whole broadcast. Phenomenal game, phenomenal leader. Again, I think if Gendron doesn't have all those catches at the beginning of the game, Miracle's your hands-down player of the game, and still make an argument for it. But in terms of what really turned the tide here today, or really was just that O-line in the running game, being able to just drive it in the fourth quarter. And you see by the fourth quarter they're exhausted. Even in the third quarter where you see no pressure on Miracle, no rush on Miracle. Again, testament to the O-line dominating. We have a hold there, no flag on the play, and this is going out to the flats here. We got about 31 seconds, and see what the G's elect to do.
I just talked about how the GGs don't let up in the fourth quarter, even though they have a big lead. It was 3rd and 10 here at the 15-yard lines, and the GGs decide to go for it and get that first down. So they just want to dominate people.
No, well, I think here we're going to see them possibly take the knee here, although you never know in Panda.
I don't think they're taking a knee.
No, looks like they're unless they're going in a spread shotgun formation. So Miracle clearly wants to add that escalation. Simon Kinda running like it's a tie game. He's going to run it in and puts the exclamation mark on it. And you know what, Seb? I agree with the foot on the pedal. I don't know if you want to stir that nest up with Ray. You don't play him again until next year, but maybe that's stirring a little something up with your crosstown rival.
That's been their style. The GGs are, they play until there's no more time on the clock. They've done it 2 weeks ago, and then they do it again tonight. So if that's their culture, that's the way they're doing things, kudos to them.
No, hey, no, amen. Like I said, I'm not one to tell them to or do not do it. Just making that observation that every now and then you peeve off the wrong hornet. And it comes back to sting.
I've never heard that expression before, but I can't figure out what it means.
I just made it up, man. But then again, you're talking to a guy who, well, you know what? I'll leave you with this thought, and I thank you for it. Did you know the Weekend spells his name with no E?
You talked about that 2 weeks ago.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Now I know this.
Yeah.
I'm impressed.
Yeah.
I'm impressed. Well, on that note, Seb, we got about 10 seconds left, but I don't think we're getting the 10 seconds in.
Oh, God, that's...
And they're asking them to get off the field. I think that's an exercise in futility.
I don't understand. Like, it's good for the GG's fan to be happy about it, but you can't wait until they end in the game.
Yeah, but I think you kind of summed it up nicely, Seb, when I would argue not some of them. There's a good chunk of them that have no idea that there is a game of any sort going on.
Yeah.
So.
Good on the ref to just decided to end the game on that.
Well, good on him, but I don't think he has much of a choice. I don't know how he's getting this one started up. You know what I love, though, is this is NCAA. They have to start this up again.
Yeah, exactly.
So that everybody's being there, ushering them off the field. So with that, the GG's players get the taste of Panda victory here, and you see him in the middle celebrating. Dominant from, whistle to whistle, kickoff to the end whistle, Seb. Dominant performance by this edition of the GG's.
It was, and it's not because Carleton wasn't good enough. I mean, they've done a lot of good plays, but the GGs were just too much today for Carleton Ravens.
So on that note, once again, from the nation's capital here, the 53rd edition of Panda comes to an end with the University of Ottawa GGs handling the Carleton Ravens with a certain degree of ease this afternoon, 37-7. Once again, for my partner Seb Tetreault and everybody at OUA TV or OUATV.ca, I'd like to thank you for joining us today, and we hope to see you on the next time when we got Ottawa 2 weeks from now hosting the first place Western and unbeaten Western Mustangs. Thanks again. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.